What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another movie review stream on Horror with Nadia. I am the host of the channel, Nadia. Thank you for being here. If you could do me a favor before we get into it and before I bring the panelists on, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and share out the stream. We're going to be talking non-spoilers first for 28 years later, and then we'll be talking about spoilers. I will warn everybody. We'll put a banner up, everything. I'll make sure that everybody has enough time to dip out. And if you're watching this on the rewatch, I will timestamp everything for you as well. That way you'll know when spoilers are approaching. So with that, we're going to be talking about 28 years later that just was released today. I saw it this morning. It's the third movie in the 28 Days Later installment franchise. So we had 28 Days Later in 2002. Its sequel 28 in 2007, and they're both gripping post-apocalyptic horror films, in my opinion, directed by Danny Boyle and Juan Carlos Fresnaldo, I believe is how I say it. Respectively, they both explore the devastating effect of the rage virus, which turns human into fast-moving infected monsters. Now, 28 years later, this, which comes out again today, directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland, is the third installment in the franchise, following 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. Set nearly 3 decades after the rage virus devastated Britain, the film depicts a quarantine nation where survivors have to adapt and coexist with the infected. Oh, 28 Days Later with Sandra Bullock. Thank you, Enzo. Thank you for that. That being said, I'm going to bring Enzo and Blue on. What's up, guys?
Just got home, so got this Regal.
I poured myself some tequila.
Product placement.
Oh well, you know.
But I also got,
I have a giant red beer in my red room.
You got the Jolt Cola? Oh shit!
I got Jolt Cola.
Oh my god! And you remember that? Like they discontinued it, and we're bringing it back.
Yeah, because
by the way,
there was a big craze.
Sugar.
Yeah, there was a craze back in the day for less caffeine, less sugar, and then Jolt was like,
Yep.
More caffeine.
This is
more
200 milligrams with zero sugar.
Damn.
Tastes like RC Cola.
Oh
yeah.
Wow.
RC Cola was a. I remember I had a childhood friend. He was a kid of my mom's friend, and yeah, he loved RC Cola to the point where he stashed like 2-liter bottles under his bed. I was like, Jesus Christ, kid! I remember being like 8 years old. Like, God.
My God, you sicken me.
How was your guys' movie-going experience today? Not the movie, but movie-going experience.
It was great.
Yeah.
I went to the. I thought it was playing at the nearby theater. Google was wrong. Google said it played at 2 and 4 and 7, and then I checked the actual website of the theater nearby. It was only playing at 7, which was a lame miscommunication. I almost went to the wrong theater, and if I had, I would have showed up. Yeah, so luckily I looked it up and got a ticket to another theater, 145. Yeah. And went there. And also the cool thing is it was a blessing because the new theater, or the other theater I went to, it's 20 minutes away, but it's right next to this place called Colleen's, which is like some of the best damn burgers in like a 30-mile radius. So I definitely picked up 2 of those cheeseburgers on the way home. And then I got the itis, so I had to go to Kroger's and get a fucking Monster Java, because I was like getting all sleepy. And I was like, I got to be on point for this stream. And then I might stream later too. So, but yeah, the theater was great. It was relatively empty. There was like 4 or 5 people sitting in the rows behind me, and one guy sitting right in front of me, but he reclined, so like it wasn't a big deal. And then there was like a black gentleman over here to the right to me eating nachos, but he ran out of nachos like before.
Nachos is the superior movie going over popcorn, I feel.
Well, no, because popcorn is great because it's crunchy, but it doesn't make a lot of noise,
I guess
chips,
but nachos I feel is a better quality. Like you get a better quality.
Yeah, I've been taking a popcorn break because Regal. Apparently, the Regal popcorn is coke and fucking coconut oil and shit and canola oil.
Oh, is that the stuff that passes through you?
It's just according to ChatGPT, it's like so the popcorn is good for you. Regal popcorn is terrible for you. I'm like, oh, okay. So
coconut oil is it's
canola oil.
Yeah, canola oil is bad for you. Vegetable oil is bad for you. That butter flavored crap. Your Blue was telling me how it gives him like the worst diarrhea.
Oh yeah. No, he's right. No, last time I had freaking Regal popcorn with butter on it, I was fucking. It was like X-Lax. I'm like, oh, what is in this shit? Like,
I like nachos over it. We have a mom and pop theater out here that I tried to go mostly. I went to Regal today because just of show times, but they have the best nachos and nacho cheese, and they give you for a single person enough for like 2 people and
The
as
whole
many
movie.
jalapenos as I want.
Yeah,
And I just love it.
I hate it when the nacho cheese, like when I went to school, when I was in elementary school, middle school, that nacho cheese had this like faint, like kind of vomit smell to it that a lot of it has that. It's like, no.
Oh, yeah.
But Devastator's right, though. Texas big movie snack is like the huge giant pickles, that are the size of the alpha cock.
Yeah, a lot of wing
pickles,
in this.
man.
Yeah, it says right here. So according to ChatGPT, Regal says they pop it in coconut oil and palm oil. Both are high in saturated fat, and that's one that's I'm trying to lower my cholesterol. On top of the sodium, it's like sodium is like 1,000 milligrams per large serving. I used to get an XL and split that my kid. And it's like so.
Guys, just do what I do. Bring a bottle of water, a little water bottle, and takes a few sips on it.
Yeah.
You don't even shoveling shit in your face through the whole movie. I hate Alamo Drafthouse and these other theaters, like they're almost a good idea. Like they're a good idea if you've seen the movie before or you don't give a shit. But like the idea of eating chicken
like
sandwiches.
full meals.
That's why
there's a
Walmart,
theater out here you can order it to your seat, and you have like a waitress that comes out, and but she comes out even when the movie's rolling, and like But pretty
every time at Alamo Drafthouse, the fucking climax of the movie's happening, and like the waiters are like, "Here's your check, last
Here's your
call."
check.
Like, fuck off. I'm trying to watch.
So the reason I'm asking is because anytime I go to the movies nowadays, if I see somebody who doesn't fit in Nadia's movie etiquette, I fucking shame on the internet because I'm tired of this shit. And this dude had his, first of all, I don't think you should wear flip-flops out of the house unless you're going to like the beach or the pool.
At least a man.
I'm talking about like the very thin flip-flops, okay? The very like these kind of things.
What's up with the Crocs too now in New York? Everyone's wearing fucking Crocs in malls. Like,
Crocs I can understand, especially because it's some of them. Well, most of them are closed toe and stuff. That's fine. But you put your fucking dirty feet on the back of this seat, and I get it. Some people in the comments are defending this dude, like since like look like it's on the backside, not where a person's head would be. Apparently, people forget. Some people have really long hair, like I do. When I have a ponytail, it hits the back of the seat sometimes. I wear hoodies on purpose for this, but regardless of it hitting the back seat, front seat, side seat, don't put your dirty ass feet on the top of these seats.
Stinks too.
Like you are not home. There's no point in defending this situation, right? Am I in the wrong here?
Well, like the argument is like, oh, nobody's sitting in the seat in front of him. Here's the thing: do these seats recline?
Some dude came in and sat in that seat. That was his assigned seat.
Did he put his feet down?
Yeah, he put his feet down afterwards. But then when I sat up, he had his feet to the side in the inner between the. I think that's gross too.
I've seen it. Fucking movie.
Did the seats recline in this theater?
No. This is old school. And also, I've seen it where people have. I've gone to the Sphere, the big globe thing here in Vegas to see a show, and the seats are like really like slanted on top. This dude had his dirty ass feet over some kid's hair and just sat.
Hold up, no.
Yeah,
awesome.
So,
especially me bringing my kid. Fuck, that ain't gonna fly.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't defend this. This is not defendable. Your feet should be on the ground.
It's even worse for the person sitting next to him because, like, the feet.
Oh no, she did it too. She did it too.
That's lame. Because the idea is like I'm sitting next to you and your feet are in like my line of sight watching the movie.
Yeah.
She did it too. I almost caught her too, but they both put the foot down, and I was like, okay, whatever. Then he fucking put his feet back up, and I was like, I'm fucking taking a photo of this shit. I'm shaming you. I hope this gets the rounds. I hope somebody shares this with him and be like,
make a TikTok on it.
Dox him and get him fired.
Yeah.
Something that I found weird was like the theater that I went to is like 20 minutes, 30 minutes of commercial before the movie starts.
Yeah.
Then the movie starts, and then we only got 2 trailers. And then more commercials, and then the movie. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
There should be like 4 or 5 trailers.
Same thing as me. It's like my showing said 5:20, so the actual film doesn't start until like 5:55. I was like 35 fucking minutes of trailers and ads.
That's expected, see, but at least like you'd want more trailers, like movies that are coming out. 2 trailers is like, what is that? That's not enough.
I don't even remember the trailers that we got.
I got one for Weapons and another one for.
I didn't get one for Weapons.
Some other horror movie or.
Oh, I know what you did last summer.
The Long Walk.
And
The Long Walk.
I didn't even get The Long Walk. I know what you did last summer, and wow, that's it. I can't remember the other one. Must not have been memorable.
Yeah.
But anyway, don't put your fucking feet on the back of people. Just same way of the lady that I took a picture. She put her dirty ass Crocs on the table at one of the theaters.
People.
Well,
Yeah.
you said that some woman brought a 10-year-old girl. Did she behave?
Oh yeah. On top of that, seat in front of me, not this seat, to the right, a lady showed up late with her probably at most 10-year-old daughter.
Mhm.
Now, I get it. We all, as adults, probably have seen movies throughout our childhood we shouldn't have seen.
Oh yeah.
I get it. Me especially. Okay, I've seen a lot of horror movies I probably shouldn't have seen. But caveat, I did that to myself. You did that when you went and rented movies behind your parents' back, or you like shared VHSs or DVDs with your friends of horror movies and stuff. My parents never took me to a theater for an R-rated movie at that age.
I did all the time. But you know, it just depends on if the kid can take it or not, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, she was relatively fine. I didn't hear much from her, but
I
my
mean-
thing is, it's a 10-year-old girl on top of it, and you're just this movie's full of Wang just hanging out, just like.
Well, see, like for me,
like a third
Terminator
R.
2 is considered hard R for the time, but I was 10 watching Terminator 2 and in drive-ins. My sister would have been 8 and 6, and I mean, they
but
all
James Cameron specifically made like an R-rated movie that kids would love, especially 10-year-old boys.
Yeah.
You know, it's
You
like
didn't
that
have-
was by design.
He
This is
doesn't
not.
have a bunch of
Yeah.
naked infected people running around.
This
I
movie
think-
doesn't have like
yeah.
a fucking cool motorcycle race and scenes that take place at arcades and you know.
That's always a funny
Guns
part.
N' Roses music playing.
Yeah, that's what we always say about like with censorship nowadays. It's like, you know, a film, if you see like genitalia, oh my god, that's too offensive. But then you can watch somebody rip a man's head off or like drink their intestinal fluid and do all crazy shit.
Yeah.
But like it's no.
I just don't feel this is a movie. Even Enzo and I were talking backstage. The tone of this movie, I don't feel a 10-year-old would find entertaining. Like, what is
A
the?
really sick 10-year-old.
What
What
did
is
the
the,
10-year-old like? The 10-year-old probably likes Last of Us or some bullshit.
You
Maybe-
could be right.
Even then, what is the appeal in this movie? Like, it's not young stars
you.
that would appeal to a 10-year-old. It's not like Taylor Swift is in this movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like you guys said, the horror genre usually isn't aimed toward, like Enzo would say, action and comedy. No matter what age you are, action. Little boys like action from 5 to fucking 85. But horror is you gotta be a certain age for horror to appreciate it.
Yeah, but even this horror movie was like, you know, this is like there's a lot of slow points in this movie that are like, you know, making pontifications about mortality and what have you. It's
Yeah.
like little kids don't give a shit about this stuff. And also the movie starts off with a bunch of kids getting murdered, so I mean that's fun. A bunch of 10-year-olds getting slaughtered.
which is in the trailer.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
not
yeah.
a spoiler since it's in the trailer. All right, let's get into it. I say, hold on, let me go back on my slides. So we'll do spoiler-free review real quick on thoughts on it. Enzo, I'm going to let you start. Spoiler-free.
I was disappointed. I was doing a lot of head scratching and a lot of. I thought Danny Boyle was a little bit too experimental with this one. The same thing with Alex Garland. I felt like 28 Days Later is like just the right level of experimental with the, you know, lo-fi, you know, 480p quality look, and the way it's shot, the way it's scored, the concept of the fast zombies, and lots of blood, lots of terror, lots of like, it's very raw. And it's trying new things, but not too many new things. This one tried too much new stuff, and it's a lot of like, I saw the trailer's better than the movie. I saw the trailer, and the trailer had me going off, you know, in these ideas of what was going to happen, and none of that stuff happened, and the stuff that happened was worse than what I thought was going to happen, you know? There was a lot of like, even when I was watching the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to come up, this will pay off, this is getting set up, and then it just goes in totally different directions, which, you know, to its credit, it's not that predictable, but it is. It's just, I don't know. It was just one of those things where it's not as bad as 28 Weeks Later, because it's not rehashing the first movie by any means. I would argue it's too different from the first movie. But yeah, the first one just has this, I think, and I've talked about this before, like the reason why 28 Days Later is probably one of the best, if not the best zombie movie. And, you know, I get it. They're infected. They're not zombies. I get it. But, you know, apocalyptic virus movies, this one's 28 Days Later is so good because it has a happy ending. And most zombie movies do not, you know. The town gets nuked, or the virus breaks out, or it comes back, or there's always some kind of like bummer ending. Everyone gets killed. 28 Days Later is like one of the few times where it's like, oh man, you feel like there's hope, and this movie kind of takes all that, throws it all away. And like I said, just really experiments. But I don't know. Maybe we'll look back on it and realize it was bold and brave. But like the problem is, it's just like Matrix Reloaded. Like I can't tell you if it's good until the next one comes out, which is lame. I'm tired of this long form storytelling. I'm tired of these sequel baits. Like complete your story, and if it's good, continue the story in a sequel. But this idea that we're going to like purposely take like a 3-act structure and split it into 3 movies, this is why you walk out of this movie feeling like it's not done. It feels incomplete. But yeah, I mean, credit where it's credit's due. There's some cool camera work. There's some cool, I think Danny Boyle's the star of the movie. I mean, he's the one that's like doing a lot of cool stuff and pulling a lot of punches, and not all of them land. But he was trying. He was swinging for the fences. The soundtrack, I'd say, wasn't as good as the first one, but still some pretty interesting and cool song choices in this one. But yeah, I mean, overall, not great, not terrible. Or sorry, yeah, but it's just I wouldn't say it was mid. It's just got big shoes to fill with the first one, and I don't know. Like I said, I can't tell until the other 2 movies come out 4 or 5 years from now. So it's just, I hate this waiting. I hate this waiting game crap. By the time the second one comes out again, I'll have to be like, rewatch this one. It's
What about you, Blue?
Yeah, definitely liked it better than 28 Weeks, but that's a pretty low bar. But you could just watch this is basically the sequel to 28 Days Later instead. So you could not watch Weeks and you'd be fine. Yeah, the storyline is pretty simple, but I actually did appreciate the simplicity of that because they're not trying to change too much versus the first 2 films. In a sense, are kind of like this global big phenomenon. This is a very self-contained story, but like Enzo said, the finale does. You can see they're leading up into like a second and third film. I would say though, acting. I mean, we'll get into the actors. I don't feel like anybody acting wise phoned it in, and whoever this new kid is playing Spike, this kid carries the fucking film, as Jeremy John said. And we do get some new ideas, which has been done before. We'll get into spoiler territory later, but a couple new ideas because it has been 20 years later. Instead of just fighting one zombie type, we start exploring different themes. So, like Enzo said, definitely the music in the first one's better. The cinematography. This is a very, just said, self-contained, very straightforward storyline. But I did appreciate the father-son dynamic, and yeah, it's not great, but I mean, it was a good time watching it, and I am curious to see with Cillian Murphy coming back for the sequels, like where they plan on going with this, because it's been 20 years later, and really nothing's changed with the mythology. It's just been 20 years later. That's it. We have like 2 new ideas, but it's like Enzo said, it's probably maybe, I don't know, like a 6 out of 10 at best. It's didn't hate it, didn't love it. It was just like, okay, I watched it, and I might watch it again sometime to review it, but it wasn't disappointing like 28 Weeks Later.
You guys are so kind. I think this movie is generic as fuck. Okay. Beautifully shot. Yeah. I get it. Danny Boyle pulled out all the stops. I thought it was very pretty to spoil. Hi, Sam. We're not doing spoilers right now, but thank you for stopping in. But thank you. It's beautifully shot, well acted. It's a very generic story, very predictable. And it's been done before in movies. I was expecting maybe, if you're gonna go crazy like you did with the end of this movie, the end of this movie, and we'll get a little bit more details in the spoilers of it, threw me off. Like it completely. I was like, what the fuck is this? Yeah. If you're gonna go like that, do that through the entire movie. Like just throw those curveballs throughout the entire movie. I felt like there were no curveballs. I thought character motivation, while understandably, especially from Spike's point of view, again, was very generic on the story. It's a story of a passage of life, right? Especially of boys becoming men, making their first kills and going out to war. That's why it was spliced a little bit with medieval and wartime footage. But it's also a story of like human mortality and the fact that like it's not that if you're going to die, it's when and how are you going to die. I don't feel it brought anything new to the table. I don't think it's very gory, as a lot of people have said online. I think there's some gore to it, but I think they could have went a little bit further with it.
Yeah, I'd say the first one's gorier, honestly.
Yeah.
The infected themselves are way more like visceral in the first one.
Yeah.
They're way too attractive in this one, in a sense that they all have they all have like rockin' bodies and like
well, I do like that they're all naked. The idea that 28 years later, you wouldn't find any infected people, even in an actual zombie apocalypse.
They'd be feral animals.
Yeah, they'd be feral animals, and like even like during like the first 28 days, honestly, you'd be getting. I guess it wouldn't work with the rage virus, but with like a typical zombie virus, where you're bitten and you die and you get sick, you die, you come back as a zombie. Like you'd be seeing tons of people in like hospital gowns and pajamas and butt naked.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be seeing people like in suits and shit. But I guess with the 28 days later virus, you would, because it infects you so quickly, and that's like that's like the one thing about the movie, about this universe that like I said, this movie totally reinvigorated the zombie genre, made them. By running zombies, it was terrifying at the idea of that. And it was also one of these movies that was like a small indie film, and it was getting a lot of buzz when it was like premiering in these like film festival circuits, and like 28 days later was like everyone had seen it and was like, you got to watch this movie when it comes out in theaters, So there was like this big hype about it.
Yeah.
I love the original. This to me is a 6 out of 10. It's not a bad movie.
That's what I said. So I'm being too kind. Give me the same score.
No, I mean, I don't think it's a bad movie at all, but I don't think it's at the level that it has been hyped to be. I thought I was going to be way more engrossed into it, like very focused into it. I found myself bored at moments. I was like, okay, let's get this going. Again, I can't find, it has to be the story to me. That's the more I think of it. And it's because I don't feel like they did anything new. And then when they tried to throw that curveball at the end, I was like, this doesn't fucking fit. So I don't know where you're going with this.
It's like Enzo said, and I think that could be the big problem, is because they're so busy in this one setting up a second and third film versus like 28 Days Later just existed. And that was it. And it didn't at the time had a franchise building. This is already part of a planned trilogy. So they're not focused on the storyline or continuity of the first film. This is just, hey, we have to still build on film 2 and film 3.
Yeah, and it sucks because there are good things in the movie, but you want more of them. There's not enough of them. Yeah. Like I want, Ray Fiennes was great. He's fantastic.
He's the biggest disappointment to me. Not him as the actor or the character, just the concept of what he was, what it kind of led to in the trailer. Like once we get into spoilers,
I assume he's coming back in the other ones, which is like, the story's not complete, so you can't really accurately judge it.
He's one of those actors where even if he's in a bad film, I have to love his performance. No matter what he does, just Ray Fiennes got that gravitas to him.
Yeah,
he's great in it, but again, I think it's not what I was expecting out of the character. And it doesn't read like that in the trailer. And I've been saying since the trailer came out, I don't know if this is going to do well. I mean, I think it'll do well financially, maybe, but I don't know if it's going to do well in the fan base, because it's been a hot minute since this series has had an installment. The last one wasn't that great.
I mean,
I can't.
Maybe you could say
that
Garland
writing something they're good nowadays.
I'd say maybe these guys are thinking to themselves that we need to play it safe. The first film plays it safe to bring people back into the franchise, since Weeks did so fucking bad that we play it safe. And now the next film we can start going bolder and start doing new ideas. Because this whole film is just like I said, it's generic and safe. It's not terrible, but it's not great. It's safe.
I think this is one of those times where, like, it just reminds me to, like, and I'm not trying to be cynical here, like, I wanted this movie to be good, and I think that's the problem. I was expecting this to be awesome. I think you gotta have lowered expectations and then get surprised, when something's good. Because I feel like if I walked into this movie thinking it was gonna suck ass, I would have been walking out of here being like, it wasn't that bad, But because I thought it was going to be fucking amazing, I walked out of there like it wasn't amazing. So,
that's the same thing. Because everybody's been hyping this movie. Even early reviews I've been seeing on Twitter, everybody's like, oh, it's a banger. This is awesome. It's gory. And I'm like, did I see something different?
No, you're back. You muted for a second there.
Well, no, because Enzo's right. That's the problem with the hype now. We've hitting a point where it's like 28 days is so fantastic. But it's like I had low expectations because this is what we're getting accustomed to now.
Yeah, 28 Days Later surprised everybody, because like even people who aren't movie fans, like zombie movie fans, like they watched it and they're like, that's a good movie. And like I said, I think a big part of it is because it has this happy, uplifting ending. You know, most zombie movies do not. And that's why it's just a buzzkill. It's a bummer. But this one, like, yeah, like, again, like, I don't trust people. It's like, hey, I'm a professional film critic and I got to see the movie 2 days early and it was great. It's like, I don't trust you. Like, you know, like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
You know, and like, honestly, this is one of the few times where I got out of the movie theater. It's one of the few times I watched Open Bar live.
Yeah.
And I was happy that Drinker actually saw the goddamn movie that he was talking about on the stream. That was good.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, there's one of the few times I agreed with most of the panel on Open Bar. I was like, yeah, this movie had some issues, man.
Well,
but I felt bad for Despot because he was like, it was good. And like Mahler and Drinker were doing the whole like, no, it wasn't. And they were like, and then by the end of the stream, he's like, you guys are right.
Well, that's the way we said, Enzo. Like, we're all like, you know, love or hate what we do. It's like, we're honest. That's why I said Ballerina. I feel like sometimes people get that point where it's like, it's nitpicky and rage baiting. Like, oh, like Ballerina never loses. Yeah, she does. Ballerina's overpowered. No, she's not. I didn't go into Ballerina expecting John Wick 5, but she's not overpowered. So this film, I wasn't expecting a 10 out of 10, but I was kind of expecting a 1 out of 10. It's what we got was kind of what I expected at this point. At this point, we've all hit the point where mediocre is better than total shit. Like walking out like, fuck this movie. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
well,
right
my question
now,
for you guys is, if this had came out as the sequel instead of 20 weeks later back in the day, do you think we would be as critical of it?
it still takes place. It still comes out 20 years later. You're saying if there was,
it's if 20 weeks later never existed, it went from 28 days later, and they released this in 2007 as 20 years later.
You could ask somebody, you could ask someone who's seen only the first movie. And if they saw the third movie, what they thought of it, you know, because I don't know, man. I feel like 28 weeks later doesn't really do or change anything. So like people were saying like this, like I think Blue was saying like this second movie is like written out. It's like, no, it isn't. They just excuse it in a line of like prologue text.
Like even Jeremy Johnson, he's like, he felt like the 28 weeks later is kind of retcon, but yeah, it's like you really could just watch 28 days and watch 28 years and just never watch 28 weeks and you wouldn't notice the difference.
Thinking back, like I would rather than a sequel to this 28 years later, I would rather get to see as a 28 months later, like how the French like staved off the infection spreading to the mainland. You know, that seems like a more interesting story. You know, because you know, like when you think of like World War Z, the book, not the shitty movie. But the book is like insane because like
I've heard the book was way better.
It's awesome. Check out the audio book with like an all-star cast. It's got like Paul Sorvino and Alan Alda and Mark Hamill. But like one of the like basically the gist of the movie or the story is because you know the zombies taking over the country, taking over the world, that's been done before. But World War Z is about like years later. Like, how do you reclaim the mainland from 200 million zombies? Like, how do you go on this kind of offensive assault, you know, and take back the land, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and it's a big deal. And it's like, how do you do that? And that's why it's interesting. Whereas this one, you know, again, it's like, especially lately, like, it's very the masculine urge to, like, the masculine fantasy to go live in a fucking commune or a cave or a farm somewhere away from civilization as everything crumbles, you know. That's a very popular daydream topic these days. And
originally this was supposed to be titled 20 months later, but because there's been such a time pass between 28 weeks later, they retitled it to 28 years later.
See, that would make more sense because honestly, the idea is like Ebola virus is extremely deadly, which is why it's very hard for it to spread globally because it kills people so quickly, you know? So the deadlier a disease is, the harder it is to actually spread that far. So something like this, the rage virus, you would think that if England was quarantined for 28 years, everyone would be dead or the virus would be gone because there's, you know, it's just super hard for it to stay maintained. Well, again, of course, you have this like the idea is like people are living with the rage virus for extended periods of time.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because the rage virus doesn't kill people; it just makes them go on like these killing sprees.
Well, no, it would kill you because it's a fucking severe hemorrhagic fever. Like you can only vomit so much blood before you die. You know,
and especially if you're eating other people in a sense or tearing them apart. Or
dude.
Wait, do they actually eat people? Because I saw they ate like animals throughout this but I've never. I
Well,
know they tear apart humans, but
so
I
I
don't.
think
I've
that's
never seen
that's
them eat
evolution because in the first basically 2 films, especially remember Robert Carlyle takes his wife. He's not eating his wife; he's beating her to death. So
Yeah.
so you got so now it's like
Okay, so
20.
it's not eating
Yeah.
humans. Okay.
I'd
Yeah.
imagine
'cause-
like you evolved to do that because like you would starve to death. Like the
Well-
infected, that's the big point of the first movie. Like how
Yeah.
long does it take the infected to starve to death? About a few weeks, you know.
Yeah.
So you just wait it out.
Yeah, and that could be the, I guess, maybe headcanon Enzo is like 28 years later. How are these zombies still alive after 28 years or infected because they would have died off? That eventually, your like, whatever your human instinct to eat something will take over your rage to kill people.
Sure.
I guess
And yeah,
that's-
maybe the hemorrhagic fever slows down and you're not vomiting, you're not excreting huge amounts of blood out of all your
I'm not sure.
orifices all the time.
I mean, it's up to Nadia. Is it a spoiler? Because they kind of address in some ways because you're telling yourself, okay, it's been 28 years. How's it still around? They do kind of express that, like why these zombies haven't died off yet. Is there a spoiler?
I don't know. It's not really a spoiler. To me, spoilers are like what spoils the storyline of the movie, right? Like what happens to our characters and stuff. It's not so much the lore of the infected.
Right.
They kind of retconned it a little bit
Well,
here.
I would say, because it's been 20 years, how the hell are these things still surviving? Because in the first 2 films, now they're to the point where these infected, whatever they are, zombies, now they're eating deer, they're eating fucking worms, they're eating birds. So they actually are in some ways
Like
keeping
animals.
themselves alive. Yeah. So it's like they are just
they're feral.
Because most zombies, that was big as probably Walking Dead. 15 fuck years later, these slow moving things would just decay. These things are now actually eating animals, eating fucking whatever, eating whatever they can. So
yeah, but that's why zombies are worse, because you have to kill them you have to destroy the brain. That's another thing World War Z talks about. Like you can lock 20 of them in a room and open the door 10 years later and they'll just come out just as deadly. They don't die. They're zombies.
Yeah.
Whereas the infected, they're humans. They're very sick people. But yeah, like I said, a virus this bad would not, unless it did spread globally, then it's possible for the virus to still be around 28 years. But I mean, yeah, it's just one of those things where, I don't know.
My question is if you find a cure for it, like they were trying in 28 weeks later with the kids being immune because their mom was immune. If you have somebody such as our gentleman here, who everybody thought was Cillian Murphy, if you gave it to him, would he come back as just a malnourished human being, or is he just too far gone?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like you get cured and you're probably still really in bad shape,
Just let everybody know in the chat, we are not talking spoilers yet. I will warn everybody, there will be a banner that when we're talking spoilers. So if you want to hang around, feel free to. We're just giving non-spoiler opinions on this.
I will say, I guess it happens in every zombie trope that whenever you go out on a mission or leave your settlement, don't have just bow and arrows. Like I'm telling my kid, have a fucking machete, have a goddamn baseball, have something,
or maybe retrieve your arrows.
It's like because arrows run out.
See, I figured they don't retrieve the arrows because of the blood. Like that's the thing about the rage virus is like the idea of a cure is insane because it's like you see one drop infect someone in 30 seconds. Like how the fuck could you possibly come up with the idea of curing someone? Even if you came up with a cure, the audience would never believe it because we've already come to the conclusion that the virus is this transmissible. So yeah, the idea that I wouldn't retrieve those arrows either. If you use them on deer and stuff, or humans,
well, see, I was thinking they can't retrieve them because when they're fighting 20 at a time, it's like versus Walking Dead. They're slow and stupid. You can retrieve it. These things are sprinting. You ain't get time to go back and grab arrows.
Well, that's the other thing about zombies is zombies typically infect you with a bite. So therefore, if you were wearing some like in World War Z, all you need to go, you don't need guns and bombs and stuff. What you need is a bunch of soldiers in bite-proof suits and shields and just a big club, and you just club these zombies to death, but the idea is you got to hit them in the brain, but the blood isn't super contagious, so you can get covered in this blood and I guess it's okay.
That's true.
Whereas in 28 days later, the idea of a machete, you don't want to get that close to them. Like I said, they could just spit in your face and now you're fucking infected.
Well, in the first movie, what's his face just moves a body and a drop of blood just hit him in the eye and he's done. Done with it.
That's why in the original movie, they were going to have an original ending that they come up with a cure for Frank. Is that his name? Brendan Gleeson's character?
I
think so, yeah.
So the idea is in one of the original endings is Cillian Murphy, you have to donate every drop of blood, like a dialysis, like replace all the old blood with new blood, you know, and therefore Cillian Murphy like gets infected and they save Frank. But I'm glad that doesn't happen. But yeah, the idea is if the virus is that contagious, like why, you know, the cure is not, there is no cure.
Yeah. I just want to say hi, Sherry.
Hey, Zax.
Hi, Zax. Peepers,
Hello.
thank you so much for dropping links. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. I see you all, guys. Sorry. When I get in a conversation, I forget about the chat. Not on purpose.
No, it's
We're
good.
still, no, it's cool. We're still talking no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Like Enzo said, we know this. It's I love like when Enzo does Dork Side, he goes through his chat. But like, there's something better about if I hope you get it now, dude. But if you ever have like 5,000 people in your fucking chat, you're not going to be talking to people no more.
Lance
Lance
was the one who said that. It's like you gotta enjoy these early days when you can acknowledge the entire chat. You know.
How does the virus stay contagious for 28 years? Actually, it evolves in this movie, Zax.
Yeah.
I see where, because I don't know if you guys saw like a few days ago, they said there's some influences of The Last of Us in this. And
I kind of got that vibe too. Watching, I'm like,
I see it with the Aaron Taylor and this kid's like relationship, the father son, but I also see it with the different types of infected that we've been introduced to in this movie.
It's the same thing with Walking Dead, you know.
Yeah. We are People Under the Stairs, and Nadia is the bookkeeper.
Nice.
I was like,
People Under the Stairs is a good movie. That's one of my favorites.
Sure.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, I don't know. As far as like it, just I assume people just keep getting infected. But yeah, like there is cool stuff that they talk about, like when the trailer came out. You know, like I said, I was one of the only. I remember being one of the only people like talking about the fucking giant. Like what is the 9-foot tall guy? You know. And
that guy right there.
Yeah. I remember like there's scenes where like the guys are like in, you know, the army guys, they turn around and they're like at chest height of this guy who like picks up one of the dudes, and I'm like, holy shit! How does someone get that fucking swole? And they actually have a good explanation for that, which I thought was cool. But I don't know. It just I feel like this movie was saying things metaphorically, which we can get into later with the spoiler stuff. About American culture and modern internet connected culture and stuff. I feel like there's like they're trying to say stuff about it, and we'll see where the other two movies go with this you know, this Jimmy character we hear about. You know, his name's written on buildings, his name's written on the corpse they find, and you know, who's Jimmy? You know.
Yeah, that's one of the positives for me for this film was that after the third film in 28 years, it's not just the same rage type zombie. Now we have different classes of zombies, which at least that's an idea. It's not.
See, I've always liked the idea, like with the undead, because you know zombies. Sean, what's his name? Simon Pegg actually had a great explanation on why zombies should be slow, because they represent this the metaphor of like death. It's always coming for you slowly, and you think you can outrun it. You know, you think you got it cornered because like they're slow, they're stupid, but like if you're not careful, it'll get you. And but the idea with the fast zombies is like, whoa, oh my god, how the fuck are we surviving this? You know. But then you know, Dawn of the Dead comes out, the remake, and of course it's running undead zombies, which is cool at first, but then you know what I thought would have been neat is like with actual zombies is like they're really fast at first, and then the rigor mortis sets in, the decay, the bloating, all that stuff. Then they become slow, you know, over the course of a few days, a few weeks, you know, because zombies do work better slow.
No, I forgot because you guys.
This reminds me of Crossed a lot. I'm sorry.
Oh
this,
no,
that's what 28. This whole franchise does.
Crossed.
The Garth Ennis comic of like people who get infected and they get like this. And they're in a sense it's the same thing, like a rage virus, but the comics are way more violent and like the worst of the worst you think could happen 10 times worse.
Sadness is kind of more like Crossed.
Well, because I know Enzo remembers all the details, but in 28 days and weeks they never actually said the word zombie, right?
No.
Yeah.
So now this film they do say the word zombie.
Well, one soldier says it one time. Which
and I think that's more so for pop culture, because I think that one soldier is, in a sense, the audience. It's the modern day audience, especially. And I did like how they kind of blended, because we have we have the kid Spike, played by Alfie Williams, who's grown up the last 12 years. He just turned 12. Last 12 years in a isolated village.
I thought he said he was 14.
Nice 12.
12. He's the youngest because they made a big deal.
He says he's 12, and then they say usually 14 or 15 is the age we want to bring him out. He's like, he's old enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's never grown up with internet, television, a phone or anything. And then when he meets this soldier individual and who has a phone and stuff, and he's asking him questions, and Spike's looking at him like he's an alien from a third world. Like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what any of this stuff is. Which was interesting. I liked that balance of like bringing it to modern day of what maybe something like this, if it really would happen, and it did only affected one country or one area of the world, the rest of the world would just continue on.
That's why I got
their lives.
Yeah, because it shows that the rest of like smartphones, internet are still. He mentions being online. I'm like, yeah, because like, if the apocalypse happened 20 years later, we wouldn't have the internet 20 years from now.
Well, that's a great part of the first one is when that one soldier Farrell is like hypothesizing that how does this infection? Because it's not airborne. How does it spread across the oceans and the rivers and the mountains? It wouldn't. And the same thing is it's so deadly. That's another reason why it wouldn't. So he's under the impression that like, no, the island's quarantined and the world is continuing as normal, and everyone laughs at him. But then later when Cillian Murphy's character Jim is running around, escaped the compound, he falls over and the first thing he sees is a plane in the sky. And that's why 28 Days Later is, in the most hopeless scenario, there's still like this sense of hope and getting rescued. And like I said, it has this happy ending somehow. Whereas this one kind of feels more of like a by the numbers zombie apocalypse movie.
Very generic.
And like I said, like it would have been neat. I mean, I don't know if this is spoilers, but yeah, if the world is continuing as normal outside of England, like, what is that like, where, and again, it seems like I don't think. I guess we'll get into that in spoiler territory later. But
I guess. Sorry.
No. I mean, go ahead.
I'll say, I guess these guys like England, just like America, like Chicago. He just like it exists. It's a terrible place. Just leave it alone. Just fuck it.
It's just like going to various parts of the Middle East. Like, don't go to England. It's terrible. Yeah. I love how it says unconditional quarantine zone. That was a great like little adjective there. Like I don't.
Oh, the island that they're on is called the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Or Holy Island. Because I got a poster when I went for Regal, and then on the back of the posters is actually map of the island and stuff.
Nice. Okay. Established 2002. I thought that was like, there's some cool touches. I love this also. It's, it's alternate history, alternate timelines. I love that stuff,
Well, so movie aside, this is the reason why my husband doesn't like these type of movies or doesn't like zombies or infected rage and stuff, because in his head, these are things that could actually happen. Like, we saw it with 2020. Look at how COVID handled, you know what I mean? Yeah. Something like this could actually, in a sense, could actually happen to the point where we have an infection where it's like this, or zombies exist or something. Like there's some realism to it. And that's why he won't watch these kind of movies.
I feel like that was something that this movie kind of addressed. It like hints at it. Like we live in a post-outbreak world now, so it kind of tries to take. And I feel like the sequels are going to get really gay with it, like really lame with it, like with cult leaders and
especially that last few minutes ending of this one was weird. Okay. So that being said, I'm going to give it a minute or two for everybody in the chat. We are going to go into spoiler territory. So if you don't want spoilers for the movie, completely understandable, please see yourself out.
You had a good 45 minutes too to prepare. So that's a fair warning.
I'm going to put a banner on the bottom. We'll give it a minute or two, and then we're going to talk spoilers. So again, if you don't want spoilers for this movie, to be honest, I think even with spoilers, this movie's it's not that like it's very predictable. But I don't want to ruin anybody's movie going experience.
One of the big things and one thing I got to commend this movie is having one really solid trailer and just making everyone really hyped up for it, and not really releasing a second trailer that like over explains everything. Because that's the thing is like the movie made me ask a lot of questions about what I'm seeing. But unfortunately, like a lot of, where I thought the movie was going to go based on the trailer, you don't want your stupid, like me as a stupid audience member. You don't want my audience, my ideas better than the professional filmmakers who had a huge budget and tons of time to write a story. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there was a lot of
I've
missed
always hated that
opportunities.
too. When they always say that, so like, oh, we leave the ending ambiguous because it's your job to fill it in. I'm like, no, it's your job as the fucking writer to tell me what the
No,
ending
this
is.
wasn't an
Asshole.
ambiguous ending. This movie just kind of ends.
But sometimes you've had
on a
like those
cliffhanger,
I
not
hate
even a
those
cliffhanger.
open ending
I'm okay
films.
with sometimes ambiguous endings because
Yeah.
then it allows the audience to use their imagination.
Yeah.
It
And
makes these
thus it
discussions that
doesn't-
we have afterwards worthwhile.
Because some movies mean different things for different people. I saw a lot things in Barbie, and people saw feminism. So like there's a lot of different takes to movies. So I think that's fine.
I don't want to write my ending. I want you to tell me what the ending is. That's your job as a filmmaker.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But first of all, the opening, I gotta say, this is the weakest opening of the three movies. I was expecting, based on what I saw in the trailer, we were going to see the widespread, at least a glimpse of the widespread infection raging around. Instead, we see like one random house with a bunch of kids and then a church, and that's kind of it. And it doesn't hit as hard. Like the first opening scene with the lab, very cool. But obviously the second one, the best part of the second movie is the opening scene. It is it is amazing.
Yeah.
And I was thinking the third one was going to go even bigger. Like I was hoping, like, cause you got that aerial shot of like all the little townhouses. I thought we were going to see like the rage virus, like running around suburban England, suburban London. But instead it takes place in like the Scottish Highlands, isolated. And yeah, you basically see, a small town getting ravaged, sort of. More like one house. And yeah, you start off with like a room full of kids just getting slaughtered, which, was alluded to.
You see in the trailer. Yeah, you see it in the trailer. Anyway.
Like
all right,
said,
I think
I was expecting it to hit hard, the opening scene.
I think we're good into spoilers then. I think we gave everybody enough time, right? All right, we're going to do
You know what I always like to think of? I always like to imagine like somebody is like on a ladder, like painting something, or like they're making food and the video's like playing. And they're like, spoilers coming, and they have to like, run down the ladder real quick and press stop, but then they like slip or they spill the grease everywhere. And they're like, no.
But to be honest, with spoilers in this movie, I don't think it takes away from the movie going experience, because I feel like even with the spoilers, the movie is very lackluster. So with the opener, like you were saying, Enzo, we get introduced to young Jimmy, a character that comes back towards the end, and we'll get to the.
Did anyone else piece it together that was Jimmy? Because because I knew that there was a character named Jimmy that was going to be a big deal, and they made a mistake by calling the kid Jimmy.
Also, I thought it was very lackluster and underused of the priest, because I thought we were going to get some kind of big religious cult kind of movement in this movie from the trailers. And spoilers for it, in the beginning of this movie, Jimmy runs out of the house. We see it in the trailers. His cousins, sisters, whatever, they're all slaughtered in the house. He runs to a church to I think he calls the priest dad, or is that just because he
no, the dad is the minister, which means he's not Catholic. He's probably like Protestant or something.
And he holds on to him, but his dad is like, basically these are reborn, right? Some kind of like
it's Judgment Day. To be healed right now means we're holy. It means we're blessed, because the good ones go to heaven in the big purge, in the big rapture.
Yeah, and then he gives Jimmy a cross to hold on to, and Jimmy hides while the infected rush the church and tear him apart, and that's the last you see of this priest. So there's
he gets infected and runs away. But still,
I did like the beginning where it was splicing our introduction to the world plus the military, like old footage of like medieval and military times, and I understood, from my point of view, I understood it as a rite of passage for boys and men throughout history, is that when you reach a certain age, you basically end up on the battlefield for a couple of years. And that's what the story is with Spike and Jamie, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. Jamie's Spike's father. Spike's turned 12 today, and he's taking him out for his first kill, and not first kill in a sense of like animals, first kill as in the infected.
See, I understood that much. Like, we're gonna get, we're going out here to get you your red laces, basically. But at the same time, like you should also like bring back. So there should be a bigger reason why you're going out to the mainland, like foraging. Like I assume he's a
I
forager.
thought so too. Like,
So it's like, yeah,
kill
we're
a
gonna kill a couple
deers or
zombies, but
something.
we're also going to bring back some meat or some supplies or something. But like, what is the point of going out there other than just like, culling infected if they're just gonna keep spreading? I
mean,
don't know. You got pigs, you got chickens, you got vegetables.
I mean, I
on
just
your
took it as like
mainland.
he's got now this he's 12. He's training him to fight zombies or infected
yeah.
because he hasn't fought them before.
I
Well,
get the idea
all
that
the
we're gonna
boys
go-
are, because
yeah,
we get
Yeah.
the montage of the boys at the actual village that they have that's isolated on this little island
Yeah.
that you can only get to when there's low tide on this long like gravel road, I guess, in sense. And the boys were being trained to hit zombies. So again, it's splicing it with the old footage of like military footage of using young children, training them for things. It fits. It's a rite of passage, but
Yeah.
I thought we would maybe get more action out of it.
Yeah, like if the whole point is to go kill some zombies, then like, okay, we killed a few fat zombies and then we'll leave. And that's the fat zombies or something we'll talk about in a second. But like, yeah, fat zombies and fast zombies. But no, like the idea is if the whole point is just kill a couple zombies, then the second we kill a zombie, we're good. And we'll kill maybe, 3 or 4 of them. That's good. We'll bring it back later. But like if we're going more deeper into the mainland, then yeah, let's try to look for some frisbees or something to bring back, something. But the other thing that was interesting, the other thing that was interesting with the trailer was based on what I was putting together was the kid was not related to Aaron Taylor Johnson. Like he's just like, he's the main forager and he's going to train the new kid who's, got another family or maybe he's an orphan in the island and they get separated while they're on the mainland. And then he runs into the lady and the doctor and the baby. And Aaron Tyler Johnson is doing some other thing to try to, get back together with the kid and find his way back home. That is totally not what happens. The kid is his son, and their mother is like very not doing well. She's like bedridden and has like really bad. There's something wrong with her. She's sick.
Did did it come off as Alzheimer's for a minute?
No, I was assuming cancer, which is what it's
Honestly,
revealed to be.
Same thing, yeah. I was like, it's because I'm telling myself because honestly, not even Alzheimer's and dementia. You have to be a certain age. She's way too young to have Alzheimer's. I mean, not that it's age specific, but honestly, it's like no one.
Memory loss is very common with
or like
brain
she was
tumors.
schizophrenic or something.
Yeah.
I thought cancer. It didn't surprise me when it came to be cancer, but it was not my first.
Well, especially when her nose once her nose started bleeding, I'm like, that's a dead giveaway.
The nosebleeds and like the pain. But like, earlier when she's calling her husband the cunt and stuff, like I was thinking, okay, maybe she's got some, maybe it is more psychological. Maybe she's just breaking from being like, isolated. But that's the thing is like when we first meet the mom, we don't know what the outside is like. For all we know, they live alone in a house, somewhere. We don't know what's going on with the outside world, but we find out they live in like a really tight community. Yeah. And I do like how the kid's like being treated like a rock star because he's going out on his first like mission. Like they're very grateful to the foragers.
Man now.
Yeah, because like being a farmer is one thing, being a seamstress is also important. It's all important, but like the foragers, like they're the ones who are like literally putting their lives on the line. Yeah. But like I said, like you got to be bringing back cool shit for it to be worthwhile,
Well, remember Aaron Taylor, his dad showed him all the trees cut down. He goes, "This is where we get fuel."
Talk about this is where we get our fuel, but like that's like right off the beach, and that's something I would like to see. Like, how do you do that? Like, we're bringing back trees and
he said he was going to be working that suit, at one day, but there was nobody working it. So how does that work? I did like the setup of the village. Everybody has a job. Everybody's raised to do one particular job, and that's it. There's no like. The way I imagine you do the fueling is you have like maybe 5 people going across with a barrel, like a big wheelbarrow or something, like a big thing that you pull, and maybe a donkey's on it or something. But then you don't cut down a whole lot of trees. You cut down like maybe like 3 or 4 big trees and you bring them back across, and then maybe you go back again for another round. The idea is like. Yeah, because like once the infected start coming, like what do you do? Like especially if it's
well, that's why you probably send like 40 guys out at a time. You have to like 10 guys holding the perimeter as the other guys are working.
Yeah. Also, the idea of the setup of the island was so cool that it was like unbelievable. Like the idea that they find this one island. It's got this one bridge that's only accessible during high tide. Like, that's like it's like when you daydream about living in that perfect cave. That has running water.
I was wondering if that land because actually exists because spots like that do exist in real life.
Probably.
I should look it up. Okay.
It's called the Holy Island or Holy, something like that. I did also like the fact that later on we do get a shot of what the mainland village looked like, the
Yeah.
mainland suburban. We
That
get
was a
it
great-
both.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great shot.
yeah. And I would have liked a little bit more there, maybe, to see in the
that was-
opener of like what happened. How did these people escape? Where did they go to? If they
Yeah.
didn't escape, are they the infect? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, when I was
here?
talking about the opening scene, I was expecting like widespread chaos, violence,
Mhm.
terror. I feel like what we were seeing in the trailer was just the tip of the iceberg, and we were going to get that Dawn of the Dead remake, opening scene where she's running around her neighborhood and it's just like fucking crazy. Like that would have been great. And then of course, like I thought it was going to end on the big aerial shot of the town, and then snapshot to like the house is all decayed, and now we're 28 years later. Again, this is one of those things where like I feel like my imaginings of what the trailer was telling me was better than the actual movie.
Yeah, you're 100% right. It's like, it says right here, yes, the island is real. It's actually called the Holy Land. It's in Northumberland, England, and it's actually has Celtic history. But
who lives there now? And did the people that moved there like kill the original settlers and take over,
probably?
So with the opening, so these two, they end up on the mainland. They're just going for a couple hours because that bridge Enzo was mentioning is only accessible during low tide. Once low tide is there, they can walk it, but high tide, they'll be brushed into the sea. So they are not going to be able to get back home. So they have about 4 hours, from what I picked up on the dialogue, to
That's what
get
he said.
in,
That's what
have him do his
4
first
hours.
kill.
That's not a long time. Holy shit!
No, it's a 4-hour window. But I imagine foragers spend the night on the mainland often, because the 4-hour window is too short. So the idea is like, oh, we're going farther, so we'll be back tomorrow during that 4-hour window.
Yeah.
But they were expecting them back that night because they were setting up the party the same night.
Yeah, they weren't going on a big foraging mission. They were just gonna, like you said, go get the kid
zombies,
get the kid his first kill, and come back.
Break his cherry.
And they run across the first infected, which are new infected, which are
nice and fat,
round infected people that were, by the way, from what I saw, mostly Asian.
I think it's because your face gets all swollen and bloated that you just look Asian. I'm not trying to be funny.
I don't know. Even up close, they look Asian.
Because they talked about how on like there's like a website you access the special code and it gives you all the dossier files of the virus and stuff, and it talks about how like the virus over the years, like it's basically working as like a metabolic steroid to most people. And, that's why, like, certain people get, like, super jacked when they're, like, living infected long enough. But then, it's also causing, like, engorgement is what they called it. And
they're called slow lows. That's what they call them.
Slow low. That's a great name.
Slow low.
So Peter
because they're low and slow. They crawl, and they're
Kat
fat.
Kitchener, Jason Guan, Yao Li, and Ember Storm all played the 4 slow lows.
So that was an Asian actor. Okay.
There you go.
So, but like, that's just a weird thing. Because like that was the one thing in the trailer where all you saw was like that awesome back shot, that like the camera that's like mounted on the thing's back, and you see it's like jiggly, like decayed mass. And that was like the thing in the trailer where I was like, "What the hell is that?" And then of course the answer to what it was way lamer than what I was like imagining in my head. I was like, "Oh, it's just big, fat, slow crawling." Infected, which is weird.
And it shows right there, like, how I've been surviving, because the thing is eating worms, and worms do have protein in it. I mean,
I imagine you're getting fat for other reasons. Like you're not getting fat based on like how much you're eating or anything like that. And like the basic worms are
peepers don't feel targeted. Don't feel targeted. So Spike kills his first. He aims so the rule is the head or the heart. And he aims for the neck to kill it. They do kind of get attacked by the slow lows because one creeps up on them in the back, and then there's a child.
It was a family of slow lows, and that's why.
Yeah,
because it's like you killed mom, you killed dad, and then you let the child just.
There's a daughter there.
Why don't you kill the child too? Because now you're making it worse.
Yeah.
But also, like, I
don't know why they didn't do that. They said, fuck them kids in the beginning.
Yeah.
Why not just continue the rule? They did. They slaughtered a bunch of kids.
It's a fate worse than death, Like, why don't you? But I guess, like, the idea is, like, Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is just, like, doesn't want to kill a child for whatever reason, which is stupid. Yeah. But the idea is, did they, like, breed? Or were they infected as a family? I'm hoping they were just infected as a family.
Yeah, and that's what I was questioning and watching. I'm like, okay, so was this kid like basically born infected and raised as that, or did they recently turn? We don't know.
See, I would normally say the first one or the second one, just a kid that was infected. But what did we see later in the movie? It's like,
that's what I'm saying.
I don't know. But the other thing about the slow-lows at the beginning, and this is something that I didn't like in the direction, was, they showed off that cool iPhone rig with the 360, and you could see how they did the 360 rotate, real quick. Like the arrow goes in, the camera shoots around.
Yeah.
But then they kept doing it over and over, and it's like, stop doing that. It's
It
like
felt
the
3D.
No, and it also like literally the action stops too, which was lame. Like if the action was continuing and the camera was whipping around like that might be neat. But like every time the arrow goes in and it freeze frames and then it does the bullet time shift around, and it was getting lame. And also the other problem with the arrows, I don't know if you know this, but like I could put like 5 slugs in somebody and there's a good chance they might not drop right away. But in this movie, like one arrow hits you anywhere in this area or this area, it's like bam, instant kill, and that's not how it works. You could,
the kid is not pulling that bow that strong.
yeah.
Back.
If you watched Trauma, Life in the ER, or any of those insane medical shows, like people get shot in the head like multiple times.
Arrows
and
are
they're
actually
like, yeah. What?
Arrows are worse when you pull them out.
Oh, of course.
You're not supposed to pull them out. You could get hit with a bunch of arrows. As long as you don't pull them out, you won't bleed out fast. It's the people make the mistake of pulling them out, especially they pull it out backwards with when it has the hook.
Yeah.
You're actually supposed to kind of push them forward, like pull them the other way.
Break them off and
Just
pull them out.
Yeah. Oh, it's rough. But yeah. So they meet with the slow-mos. They get they discover this empty house where they discover this dude hanging upside down with the word Jimmy or Immy carved into his chest, which was my first. I was like, what the fuck? Why do we have Jimmy was the kid in the opener now, and we're 30 years later from the opener,
right?
And now we got Jimmy hanging here. Well, at least a victim of Jimmy.
Yeah, see, in the trailer, the trailer they showed the Jimmy on the guy's chest. They also showed Jimmy on the side of the building. Jimmy is here or whatever. I don't remember what the building with the sign said.
We'll get to Jimmy. Jimmy's a weird.
There were people speculating that Jimmy was literally Jim from the first movie, and I was like, no, I hope that's not it. But yeah, like I said, the beginning makes the mistake of like the mom comes in and says, Jimmy, make sure you don't do anything. And that's the kid that runs off with the cross. And you're like, okay, he's coming back later. So clearly he's Jimmy. They make it a very good point to like showcase that he has this identifying gold cross. So we'll know who he is 30 years later. I was thinking maybe he's Aaron Taylor Johnson's character.
I thought the same thing for a second. But I was like, when they found this guy hanging upside down, I was like, oh, okay. So Aaron Taylor is not Jimmy.
Jimmy's some kind of cult leader, and he says a good thing where he's like, either he was, I don't think he was infected, strung up. Like that would be difficult to do. So what he says is like, he strung him up like this, left him for the infected, and he got infected somehow, just hanging upside down in a bag of blood.
And it doesn't make sense to me that the kid wasn't willing to shoot this one, but he was able to shoot the slow-lows.
I think it's because the slow-lows are less scary. They're just kind of, it's like shooting a deer. Like it's like a benevolent creature just kind of crawling around. Whereas like
fat
zombie is like screaming at you, like his arms are getting untied and, it's freaky. I don't know.
They eventually do run across a bunch of infected who chase them down, who are called by, and Enzo called it, a 9-foot like fucking like
alpha.
This dude right here,
Alpha.
all the way to the right, an alpha. But he's actually credited as a berserker.
I do like berserker better because like that was what the soldier called them, berserkers. And even jokes about how alphas. Yeah, you make it sound like a fucking stockbroker or something, which means that alpha is a slang in this alternate 28 years later in the real world, on the internet, because that's the one thing that they do make a point is like, it's only England that is quarantined and the rest of the world is continuing as fucking normal. Yeah. But the idea is the problem with that, like, I understand unconditional quarantine zone means unconditional, but like, it would not be hard to do surveillance drones and stuff. And using these like aircraft carriers and boats around the area, it's like we could rescue people if we wanted to, like we have drones now. So it's one of those things. Why would you even send soldiers in here? You wouldn't even need, the boats technically. I mean, yeah, you could have the boats, but just like send an army of drones in the island, That was just something me just kind of like thinking in my head during the movie, and I was just like, wait a minute. But as far as something else I noticed that was really interesting, parallel is Aaron Taylor Johnson. He is it Johnston or Johnson? Johnson. There's no T in there. He's the
Johnson.
father, and Spike is the son. And I couldn't help but think of Godzilla 2014, where we were led to believe that Bryan Cranston was going to be the lead of that movie, and then all of a sudden he's thrown out of the movie and replaced by his son, Aaron Taylor Johnson. In this movie, Aaron Taylor Johnson is billed to be the lead, and we're excited to see him. And then he fucking disappears from the movie from like 30 minutes onward, and now it's the boy. And we don't even cut back to Aaron Taylor Johnson at all during the kid's entire adventure in the mainland. And that was a really strange parallel, and I was not happy with that.
Second act, there's a lot of issues with that. I thought it was very strange. I get it. They established in the beginning that once you leave this colony community and you do not come back, there's no rescue. Like, no, we don't send anybody out to get you. Once you touch the mainland, you're on your own, and you make it back on your own. If not, you're out of luck.
That seemed like a setup, and it was never paid
I thought
off.
so too. I thought it was going to lead to him going after his son after finding out he was disappeared. But so after they discovered the Alpha or Berserker, what it is basically like a steroid rage infected individual.
Yeah.
Like for some reason they explain it as the virus basically pumped this body with steroids in a way. So it takes a lot more than just a shot to the head or a shot to the heart to take them down.
They need more arrows.
Yeah, that's like you were saying, Enzo, that's the trailer that we got, the sneak peek or whatever of the guy raising one of the military guys up. That's a berserker. So we have now slow lows, we have the standard infected, and then we have berserkers. Berserkers apparently all have big ass wings, just like
steroids
hanging
make
out.
You taller. Yeah, no, there's definitely some kind of engorgement happening because the slow lows get really fat, like obscenely fat.
Yeah,
and the alphas go through like a second puberty, like a silverback gorilla. Like
steroids,
they have huge dongs.
Steroids make
and they get like 8 feet tall.
Apparently
it's silly. Yeah. It's like silly, but
it's not actual steroids, but they explain it as the weird steroid to make they've evolved into this.
And it's kind of on brand with what the rage virus does to people anyway. Like it just sends you into a fucking blind rage like nonstop. So like if we're getting into crazy sci-fi territory, like that is a pretty cool side effect of the virus, but does it make sense? No, not really. But it's pretty cool, like the idea, but of course they don't really do a whole lot with it. Except it just make me kind of confused, affects pituitary gland and forces gigantism, maybe. Yeah.
On top of that wing.
There's some kind. Yeah, these dicks are like the size of my forearm. Like his dick.
There's one right there
dick
in the
is
back.
huge, bro.
See that part?
Both of them are.
See that part? I thought, especially with the thumping, it's like boom, 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 boom. I was like, holy fuck! It's like Enzo would say. On top of the thing being fucking fast, it's also big, intimidating. It's heavy, and these two were fucking sprinting like help, Alpha. And I'm like, oh
He's
shit!
running after
like,
you.
Yeah.
So these two make it back. Yeah, they make it back to the village by not low tide, but basically it spent the night, but realizing the water wasn't high enough yet that they still could walk through it. So they're sprinting, but then you get a berserker chasing them at the same time.
Same.
Yeah, and the whole spending the night in the farmhouse thing was cool, but like
it was kind of funny. It starts collapsing because of deer running by.
Yeah, it's a shitty, dilapidated house. So they have to kind of leave a little earlier than they planned. And yes, the infected are coming because they heard the house like fall apart. But like, I feel like a big excuse for the outing, the initial outing. I thought the initial outing was going to just kick off the movie, and they were going to get stuck out there, and they don't come back to the mainland until the end. But no, what it is just an excuse for the dad to give a bunch of expository zombie 101 type stuff going on.
Yeah.
And there's like it's like the Scar, it's like Mufasa talking to his son, like about what's that shadowy area over there? What's that big fire over there? It's like I don't know. We don't ever go over there. Don't stay away from there. It's like okay.
That's a good point because that leads into the Act 2. When they're stuck in that farm farm building or whatever house. They're in the attic. That's how they escaped from the infected, because they can't climb up because there's no ladder. They were able to get up there, but they're able to see a fire in the distance. And Spike asks his dad, like, "What is that?" And it's Aaron Taylor Jamie decides just to be like, like doesn't even explain it. It's like, we just don't go there and stuff. Come to find out, when they make it, they do make it back. These two do make it back. They end
and they're all getting drunk.
They it took what a like bolt that you use. Like
they had a fucking they had a freaking ballista, and she was on fire with a big anchor.
They
take this shoot down.
Yeah, they shot a bunch of arrows in it and a big spear from a fucking those huge crossbow things.
And it takes it out.
Kill that son of a bitch.
The other thing that was interesting was like they're hiding out in the attic, and like the zombies just kind of leave, the infected just kind of leave. But it's a good thing the alpha didn't go in there, walk up the stairs, and just kind of like, you know, kick in the roof. You know, like they had no arrows. You know, they would have been fucked.
It's the exposition.
Yeah. So they make it back. So that's Act 1. That's basically, I think, the end of Act 1. They have a big old party for Spike because this is his first kill. And during the party, Spike realizes that, or comes across his dad having an affair with another woman there.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of sets off a like wedge between him and Jamie, which is weird to me.
Well, I think Jamie's a generous lover too.
Ew. Yeah, he does.
Come on,
yes, he is. Yes, he is.
There you go.
On a woman in an alley somewhere.
So
you know?
he's a good boy.
Usually when I'm going to like back alley quickies, I don't go for the cunnilingus. You know. Yeah. Usually it's like that's why.
But I thought it was.
That's why Jimmy's a gentleman.
A weird thing for Spike to all of a sudden go from loving his father, respecting his looking up to his father, to basically hating his dad because he sees this affair happening, instead of just asking questions and just, you know, maybe confronting his dad.
I was kind of comfortable with the fact that, but Spike did watch that scene a little bit too long.
Well, yes. You could say,
Dad, what are you doing?
I mean, yeah, like what I was talking about earlier about like metaphors on a modern American culture. It's like, first of all, we got these big fat asses, right? I feel like they're trying to say something about that. And then second of all, like, yeah, like the kid, I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, when your kid goes, when you watch your parents go through a divorce, you got to lick it before you stick it. Now canon. Yeah.
Especially in the apocalypse.
But yeah, like as far as like, you know, kids watching their parents split up, you know, hating your father because, you know, it's like Nani saying, like, you're not asking your dad the right questions. Yeah. You know, you're not putting yourself in your dad's shoes because, yeah, your parents are splitting up. Your mom's dying. Your dad is like fooling around. He doesn't seem like a very savory character cheating on a dying woman.
I
mean, he's kind of a rock star. He's a rock star. He's a forager.
I did like the point where he did slap his Spike on because it's like, you know, you don't know what his dad's going through. He probably hasn't gotten laid in like 6 months. The guy's built up, and it's a fucking.
I love your mom,
just
but
like,
first of all, that's not an
exactly.
excuse. But second of all,
it is.
You're right. You're right. I mean, the man he probably knows that his mom is his wife is dying.
Yes.
The mother of it, and he is doing the best he can to take care of her, and make sure that his son is established in this world and knows what to do in case something were to happen to him. I get it. Doesn't excuse cheating, but hey, we're in the apocalypse. Why not? Right? I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm going out risking my life. And you know how, like, when your lady says, I have a headache, and you can't do it. Well, she's got a fucking brain tumor. She always has a headache. I have needs.
Exactly. It's like...
But first of all, if you're going to sneak around, maybe not do it out in the opening, like near the party.
Listen, they're stuck in this fucking island. There's no Pornhub, okay? They have the man's backed up.
Go to an abandoned house or abandoned shack or something, or for fuck's sake, go to the beach. Like, go further away.
There's no
from
magazines you can look at. He's like,
I'm just picturing the guy like in the tower with the spear gun, just looking over there and seeing Aaron Taylor Johnson like jerking off on the beach, you know, and he's just like pretending he doesn't even see it. It's just like, I don't even want to know.
That sets off Act 2. So we get up the next morning. Spike is feeling the guilt of seeing his father cheat on his mother, so
he goes home early.
His mother, he goes home
to
early.
The party early and talks to that old guy.
Sam, I believe his name is
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, the
right?
old guy
that-
tells
yeah.
him about what the fire was. Oh, it's that
About-
crazy
That's it.
doctor.
Yeah.
About Ray Fiennes, yeah.
And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
my dad said he didn't know what it was. He's like,
Dr.
if your dad didn't
Kelson.
want to tell you, then I shouldn't either. But yeah, there's a crazy old doctor there who used to be my practitioner 30 years ago.
I
And
did
that
like
gets
this
the
scene,
kids
though.
like head turning, you know, like there's a
Yeah.
doctor. We don't have a doctor on the island, you know, it's a big thing.
Well, I did like the scene where friggin' Spike pulls out a knife and his fucking dad easily just fucking takes it and just takes it,
grabs it and
he's
just-
grab like this. He's like, and then
He's,
he
like,
fucking
shaking.
he punches the wall twice. Just like, remember, kid, you're 12 years old. Your dad is 3 times your size, and
Yeah.
son, you better like, yeah.
And he's also Aaron Taylor Johnson.
I'll tell you right now. At
But
12
it's
years
also-
old, had I pulled that knife in front of my dad, I wouldn't be walking to this day. Like,
It's the first time he stood up to his father, or not even
Yeah.
stood up to him, just like, you know, really like rebelled against him, or you know, we're seeing that, you know, his dad is not a nice guy. He's finding out, and he tells him to stay away from his mom. You know, he's getting real protective of his mom. He's got like this kind of Oedipus complex almost. And I'm not trying to be funny either, but it's just like,
but see,
you
I
know,
think his dad was great, Enzo, because remember in the roof, he's like, "Well, Dad, I'm sorry, I fucked up." He's like, "No, son, you're fine. This wasn't your
Yeah.
fault." He's consoling
he is a
him.
good dad.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm being serious, where it's like, I think if he had just asked his dad some questions about the woman, you know, I think it would
Instead
have
of said, "Hey, and go off with so and so," and he's like, "You better shut your mouth of what you're
Yeah.
talking about."
Yeah.
Very
you know.
confrontational on it. I don't think he has an Oedipus complex. I think
Well,
it's more
also
so.
it kind of gets reinforced because she keeps calling him dad in her delirious state.
I guess.
And there's this weird relationship that they kind of develop. Because like the idea is like, yeah, he's gonna kidnap his mom and take him to this doctor in the mainland without anybody knowing,
Yeah.
which is fucking insane.
And you know, yeah, Enzo, I'm telling myself, my kid, like, you know, that's a stupid concept, but also the kid's 12 years old, his mother's dying, he's desperate.
He doesn't know how modern medicine is.
I'm
To
not
him, like,
I'm not mad at 12-year-old for trying to save his mother's life.
But
You know it's stupid.
that's a good
you know.
point, Enzo. This kid this is where he's been raised. This is the world he knows. He doesn't know about modern medicine. He doesn't even know what cancer is.
He thinks
He doesn't
doctors
even know
are like
any of this stuff.
sorcerers, you know?
Yeah. Like, oh, they'll just give her medicine and then she'll be fine.
better.
You remember like the frisbee? He's like, "What's this?" That's a frisbee. He's like, "You never seen a frisbee before?"
Yeah.
Oh, a frisbee.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I mean,
So
because that's
what
the
he
thing
do-
is like, even if it was, you know, even if he asked his dad surely would have been like, look, if I'm gonna be real with you, they even talk about this later, but it's like, yeah, it's pretty obvious that it's some kind of cancer ravaging her body, and it's like, I
Yeah.
don't think that doctor living out in the woods has any kind of fucking chemotherapy hanging around, you
oh,
know?
definitely not. Huh.
So,
But he doesn't know
I
that
did-
though.
yeah,
I think his moment of like really deciding to not only is
Yeah.
this kid objectively
yeah,
insane,
that was rough.
but he burns down the village place. Yeah.
Burn down
Tiny
something
it.
else.
I mean,
Yeah,
they had buckets of water.
But the thing is, I think the slap to the face and that confrontation there was the final decision on the fact that he was going to do that he was going to take his mother to that doctor instead of asking for help, because his father also explains to him that before he was born, he ran across this doctor, had a field of just corpses that he was burning, that we later find out was this temple type of like thing he had built over the last 30 years, which is the biggest disappointment to me in the entire movie, is the fact that this Dr. Kelson should have been a fucking lunatic, crazy dude, maybe even come off threatening, maybe even come off as some kind of threat to them, and he's just like this like lovable dude that's just like trying to help him accept grief and understand that life has a cycle and stuff. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I was expecting some really bad villain dude. Like,
if he comes back, you know, he'll probably turn into a villain type character. I
He makes a
wouldn't be
good point.
surprised.
yeah,
That's
that's right.
because
And he's
now-
Hawkeye in a day
That's
later.
because now
yeah.
his mom's with him, and the power of mother and motivation.
Yeah, he's got to protect
power of
mom.
mother and motivation.
See?
Yes.
Small but mom.
But also,
I mean,
she,
I think-
she didn't have a lot of episodes during the entire trip to the doctor too. She had a couple of them, but it wasn't as severe as it was showing in the
Yeah.
village. When
She
was
wakes up every
staying
day in the house with like a fucking insane migraine, thrashing
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
But yet
she
she's
just
able to kill a slow mo in the middle of the night and just like
not remember it.
with her bare hands.
yeah,
It's motherhood.
yeah, mother bear type situation, I guess. But it's just one of those things where the audience, I mean, me personally, like, they're clearly going on a futile mission. Like, mom is clearly not going to make it. Like, even if they find the like, there's, you know, it's one of those things where she's clearly got something very, very wrong with her. So it's, you know that Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was
Finish
just say,
it.
you know her death is coming, kind of, you know.
Oh yeah.
You do, and I get the concept of death happens, it's not if you're going to die, it's when. It's the circle of life. It's accepting our mortality as humans. There's never, it's also the fact that people will come and go in your life. Your parents will die, your grandparents, you'll kids and such. I liked, I thought the weirdest, other than the ending, which we'll get to, I thought this dude was a little is this supposed to be us, modern audience? Is this us? This dude,
This guy?
Eric?
Yeah.
Is that who we are? To Alex Garland? Like, this dude, like, I'm surprised he survived the ambush of his team, to be honest.
Well, it just kind of shows they probably all act like that. They're the TikTok generation, And she kind of confirmed that when he pulls out a cell phone and shows him a picture of his fiance or whatever.
That was kind of funny,
fiance.
What's wrong with her face? What? What's wrong with her face? Is like my one friend.
Like
whenever she's
audience laughed at
whenever
that.
she's
shellfish.
Whenever she has a shellfish, her lips down.
Yeah,
Eric.
I mean, Eric was like one of those things where he was he provided some good levity, but I think it was one of those things where maybe it was too much levity. He was a little too silly. And we know he's going to be cannon fodder because of the trailer.
Oh, yeah.
We know that he, the trailer definitely shows. Like, that's the thing is, like, you start putting together what the trailer was telling you. But yeah, he's a fun character. I mean, he's dealing with a lot on this island, helping these people. The whole gas station scene was a little plot armored.
Oh my god!
Heavily plot
that's the worst part of the fucking film. The fact that
like
I'm like, the fact that I'm telling my kid, I'm like, the fact they're both dead instantly.
Like, here's the thing: if they had come out of there and they were alive, but their hair was all smoking like a fucking Home Alone wet bandit villain, like their fucking clothes were all smoking and their hair was all burnt up.
I actually bust out fucking laughing, not because it's great, because I'm like, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've seen. Oh,
it's because all the flammable gas like hangs out on the ceiling.
Yeah, that's
so
where
if you lay down.
That's where fire does. Fire doesn't go down. There's an invisible barrier of fire.
Not to mention the fire would like suck out all the oxygen in the room, right? You'd probably suffocate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had a pretty savage death. His head got ripped off with his spine by Samson.
It's a highlight of the movie.
The
for
other
he
berserker
did a predator to him,
who has a third leg. My God, Samson! Like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah, they both have huge cocks. Both of the alphas we see.
Just like, I'm just like,
it's like
and
this
mind
cup.
You, I'm
it's
watching
like this
this
cup right here.
I'm watching this, and remember, there's a 10-year-old girl in front of me with her mother watching this, and I'm like, why would you bring your 10-year-old now has high standards for men? I guess I don't know, like what's going
dangling
on
in the wind, like, oh my god,
just dangling. Just like,
but what's even crazier is like these alphas are like using those big cocks and fucking, and impregnating other infected people.
Yeah, it has a song that's swinging down on his knees. Jesus.
Yeah, he hangs dong for sure. The other thing about it, one thing I did love is like, the scenes that look like me right now, where it was like all red, infrared, like night vision, and like the zombies had glowing eyes.
Like that.
I wanted way more of that. I wanted like a whole sequence of that.
Yeah.
Like, that shit looked great, dude. It was fucking
the more
creepy.
feral kind of. To me, that's a nod to the original with the camera style.
I also loved when they slept in the house the first night. That nightmare the kid has, where like the mom is like in the water and her eyes are glowing, and she's like, "I'm drowning, help me!"
Intense.
That was cool.
All right, can we talk about would an infected? First of all, how did the infected get pregnant? And second of all,
needs just like the rest of us.
It came off to me. It came off to me that the Samson wasn't just after them because they were human. He was after them because it came off as he was the father of that child. Like, he's the one that maybe impregnated. Like, did you catch that too?
That's how it works with lions and gorillas. Like, the alpha goes through a second puberty.
This time it's personal.
And they have all the babies, and they kill any children that aren't theirs, and but yeah, like it was just super. It was a lot to absorb. Like I said, this is where I think they're getting a little too experimental. Because 28 Days Later was just the right level of experimental.
Yes.
This was doing a lot, and it was a lot of like me, like literally scratching my head.
Yeah, you should
Yeah.
read Crossed. I mean, I would never recommend people to read it, but you should read
Yeah.
Crossed.
I got a timeout in Niet's chat because I came in and the chat was talking about the sadness, and I was like, "Oh yeah, skull fucking." It was like great, and it was like, "No, please." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Whoops.
But
My bad.
that's what these infected come off as. It's very similar to what the infected are in Cross, but
Yeah.
I feel like there's something missing out of the context of the fact that that is his child. Like I picked it up when he came, looked at the pregnant infected, and he picked her up and then put her down and then was like maybe looking for the child or something. And this baby, by the way, you're not supposed to give babies water, by the way, for like the first 6 months of their lives. Otherwise they like die from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. It was one of those things. Yeah, no hard feelings. I'm just glad it wasn't permanent. I was like trying to 20 minutes later, I put in the word Australia for no, just because and it went through. I was like, okay, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you mean? What good when you're not? I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to give babies.
Wait, what?
water.
I think it's one of those things
Hold on,
where
how
if
drunk
you,
am I?
because the doctor does say like she will live. The baby that we get from this infected woman.
No,
will
newborns
live.
and babies under 6 months old should not be given water. Breast milk and formula are designed to meet all nutrition and hydration needs.
This is a special circumstance.
Yeah, the doctor says.
Well,
like,
I understand that. Okay.
Yeah, with water it'll survive for a few days, but it needs milk.
I just wasn't seeing like
There's like a reason why you're not supposed to give them water because my sister told me this. I asked why, and it's because you can like do something to their kidneys or something to the effect. Like they're not fully developed. One of us raised 3 kids. The other one is claiming that water. I'm telling you right now, water intoxication for infants.
Yeah, what else is Big Pharma telling you, man? Don't listen to them.
I haven't raised kids yet, but my niece and nephew. I'm really close with my sister, and I asked why aren't you? And she was told by the doctors like you're not supposed to give babies water.
Heard too much oxygen is bad for them as well.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like water intoxication or something to the point where it messes up like whatever. Fuck you, Goodwin. All right.
This should be seen with Spike. He's taking a mother. He's taking her breast and pushing down for the milk.
I understand in the world of this movie, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, I get it, but.
So that's the thing
first
is
thing
like
that came to mind. I was like, you're not supposed to give babies
but now,
water.
Nani recently watched Last of Us. So did you get the vibe of the baby's born, it's not infected. This kid could effectively be immune now.
Immune. That's what I was hoping they would dabble in. I guess they'll save it for the sequel. But yeah, the idea that's something the doctor says. Like I had thought that might happen. It's like what?
He said the power of the placenta.
You thought the infected were fucking and procreating and making like human non-infected immune babies?
Yeah.
Apologies, gentlemen. I just have to play this clip for Goodwin.
Oh. Now, I mean, I could understand that the idea is maybe the woman was infected while she was pregnant. That's possible.
We don't know.
We don't know. But the idea is like, let's say she did give birth to that baby. Is she somehow, as an infected person, going to like breastfeed this child and raise it and rear it?
I don't know, guys. All I know is in the real world, doctors tell you you're not supposed to fucking give babies water.
No, yeah, I'm not. This isn't about the water thing. But like I'm just saying, like theoretically, like how are the infected literally breeding? You know, like
that's a question. Did she get pregnant beforehand or was it after?
Look, I was drunk one night.
As it's the berserker's child.
Yeah.
So did they have angry infected sex and just like animals? Because in a sense, they turn into feral animals.
I think it's more like a Khal Drogo thing where he kind of took her as the bride and she eventually like got into it. You know, she was like, this ain't so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if she was infected, got pregnant, but yet the placenta kept the baby from being infected, that's I don't know.
The magic of the placenta.
Wouldn't his stuff carry like infection or something?
Yeah, so would her colostrum, her breast mix. Like, let's say the baby is born not infected. I think it would eventually get infected using.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
No, they're not dead.
Even my kid said that. My kid was like, I was like, buddy, he said, well, Dad, technically speaking, they're not dead. So he's like, they're infected with a virus.
They're
so he's like,
really sick.
Yeah,
very sick.
So it's like it's gross, but like they're not zombies technically. So it's
yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of questions with that whole concept. That's one of those. That's one of those jars they should have left closed, you know? Because like, once you open it, you're like, what? How does this work?
Mhm.
because he Spike, his mother, and Eric come across this pregnant infected because his mother, I think it's Ilsa, is
Yeah.
it?
And she
Yeah,
holds her hand.
comes
Isla.
across her in a train that's abandoned, and this infected doesn't attack her. At first, it kind of like bites, like tries to get her, but she goes into giving birth.
It's one
and she
mom to another
basically,
mom.
her mom like raises her hand out to the infected mom, and they like grip hands together to help
Yep.
give birth. Is there some kind of
Some
underlying of
metaphor
like
for how
womanhood
women,
and
women need to stick together.
women help each
and-
other?
Also,
yeah,
Nadia
their
knows-
wives and
Now you know it's good make effects because that looked like a real baby getting pushed out and she's pulling it out. I'm like,
Yeah, it
holy
was
shit,
great.
that's gross. It's gross,
was
but
great.
also,
yeah, the infected are evolving. They are eating humans, animals for sustenance, and no
Yeah.
longer dying out. They're also being led by alphas, which are leaders of the pack. Yes, they're having kids.
he's
Thank
not
you.
wrong.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's 9 out of 10 times, and yeah, it's not wrong. There's just the 1 out of 10 times. Yeah, it's not like the Wolfman, but it's okay. I still adore you. Yeah,
Yeah, like I said, all that stuff was explained in like that cool like website stuff and bonus feature information.
Yeah,
but, like,
I went over
it's
that.
not properly
museum.
explained like in the movie itself. It's left kind of open, but like yeah, I guess you can't have everything just over explained in dialogue. But yeah, like they're definitely breeding. And it just raises a lot of questions. Like, how are these kids? Because you know, when a baby deer is born, it comes out and it's like it can just comes out walking. You know, humans are born like a little bit earlier compared to their gestation period. Because when a baby's born, it's basically like a maggot. It's like a larva. Like it doesn't.
Yeah,
you can't do anything.
It's
Like,
dependable on the
yeah,
mother and the
100%.
So would they eat the babies?
I don't think so.
Or
I
not
mean,
eat the babies? I'm sorry, they don't eat. But like, would they tear it apart because it's a human?
No, I mean they
Once
are
it
eating.
cries?
They're eating something, but the idea is, like, also is the baby immune, or is it just
Maybe.
not infected until it starts breastfeeding somehow?
Well, that's the way
Or
the
if
head
it
canon was.
hits
It's not
puberty,
infected.
hormones affect the body a different way. Would that trigger
It's immune. We'll go with that.
Maybe that is the cure. We have to impregnate all the female infected. And
Oh, you know,
I don't know.
Oh,
you know what? Then I'll take one for the team.
So the reason, so when we get the baby, that's where Eric dies in the train because he decides that he's taking a stance that he's going to kill them, or if they don't like put the baby down and let him shoot it. That's where the alpha comes in, or I'm sorry, the berserker, and tears his head off.
Like, that's my daughter.
basically.
God damn it!
Yeah, and the berserker's about to kill these two, and they decide to decide, and they run across Dr. Kelson, who saves them by shooting a dart into Samson and filling him with drugs, basically morphine,
and they're just
something
leaving
else.
him. He's Samson. And
Standing
he's
there
like
sleeping.
I thought when he called him Samson, I was like, oh, okay, this guy's like a crazy cult leader.
Experimental. This is like maybe.
No, he's more like Jane
Some-
Goodall, like watching gorillas in the mist or whatever. Like,
I'm like,
I thought he would be like more like a Dr. Frankenstein, where
Right.
he's experimenting on all these individuals.
anytime he could kill him, he's like, hey, it's been about 3 years now, so you could have killed him for the past 3 years. He's keeping him alive for some reason.
He's like, I just stay out of his way.
yeah, I'm trying. I'm like a conservative,
There's
conservationist.
mutual respect here. He's using his side of the line.
Yeah, like I'm sure it's like they have just as right a bunch to live as we do. It's like no, they don't. They're infected.
I do like how he says he's covered himself in iodine because it deters him.
Like I'm picturing like 28 years later from here, and like you've got the infected like working as like cashiers somehow in a rebuilt society, like that movie Fido. You know, we've managed to like the infected are like contributing members of society
Also,
now somehow.
I seen Ray Fiennes in that last movie there with the Odyssey. Ray Fiennes is fucking jacked. Holy shit, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's
We're
just
supposed
like-
to get an Odyssey trailer, I believe, with Jurassic Park.
Oh really?
Oh,
With
okay.
the Chris Nolan
Yeah.
Odyssey movie?
Well, he did the
Yeah.
one. He did his mini movie. It came out a few months ago. It was just kind of a low budget, but he had
Every
a shirt
time I
off.
see him, I just see
Return,
Voldemort.
yes.
Return.
And so,
That was good. That was cool.
I
And
just
yeah,
see
he is
Voldemort.
jacked. He did get jacked, baby.
He's like 62. He's like fucking this. I'm like, God damn, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Just remember how fat he was in Schindler's List, you know? That was I mean he looked like
He's
meat.
Voldemort.
Yeah.
God damn
No,
right.
yeah, but yeah, Ray Fiennes, man,
Goddamn right.
he is like a highlight of the movie, for sure.
He is. I like him as an actor. I think he's a very solid performance. I was just a little bit more disappointed because, other than the infected, I don't feel like we had a human villain entirely in this movie, like man versus man.
No, there isn't.
And I know, And I get it. We get towards the end, we get the setup for Jimmy, but I was kind of hoping he was, in a sense, like a Dr. Frankenstein, maybe have lost his mind from isolation with the infected. He maybe is experimenting on them. Maybe he's the reason this one got pregnant. Like the whole lot of things. And I felt he was just basically reminded me of, and I can't think of the word, but in Greek mythology, the individual that takes you on the River of Styx, like the boat guy. I know there's like a word for him, but he's basically the person who like helps you kind of accept death.
The ferryman.
The ferryman. Yeah. He's like a ferryman. He's the one that has you understand like the concept of that, death happens. It's a part of life. It's the cycle of life in a sense.
That seemed to be the main theme of the movie, and I didn't think they were going to focus so heavily on like euthanasia for this movie. Like the themes of that, which is a bit weird.
There is a human villain. I know humanity as a whole in the UK. I'm just talking about a physical villain that we see, like somebody that messes because I don't know. It felt very lackluster. I'm like,
he should have had bad hair and an orange tan.
Well, to be fair, like, there wasn't really a human villain in the second one, except like Robert Carlyle gets infected, but and then there's Idris Elba, who's like, kind of an asshole, but he's not really a villain. But the first one actually has a set of bad guys who aren't really, evil as much as they're just like, desperate,
the soldiers,
scared guys. Yeah. But I did like how in the trailer I was wondering like why Ray Fiennes is like covered in blood, because like it would seem really dangerous, but then you find out it's iodine, which is actually really cool. Like the idea that he bathes himself in iodine and he's got this like crazy look to himself.
Like this stuff. I'm like, oh,
like, the virus really doesn't like iodine.
Even after he cleans Eric's skull, he goes back and puts more iodine on his hands.
It's like his lube too.
So in the posters and the trailers, you do see like a huge skull, like monument, I guess, or something in a sense, and it's just the dead, and it's in a sense a memorial, I would say.
It's symbolic.
Yeah,
it's symbolic of like those who have come before us, their thoughts, their memories, their lives that they've lived through, and they do the same thing with Eric's skull. Here you see him handing Spike Eric's skull after he cleaned it by burning off all the meat, and then it was really weird watching him just like pull the rest of it off, just like he's fucking peeling an orange. I'm just like,
definitely not like we'll go inside. I did ask that question, like, but I'm not gonna ask the question. Like, he's got like endless supplies of iodine. Just
yeah.
Where
he's
does
a doctor.
He get the iodine?
He must have hijacked the tanker truck of iodine.
What is iodine made from?
Yeah, I mean, where does it come from? Iodine is like something natural to.
Here we go.
Like there's iodine salt. Where does iodine come from? Good point.
Not made of anything else in the sense of being a compound.
It's from the Earth's crust. Seaweed.
It's a trace mineral found in
salt.
No, wait.
Iodine is made from. God damn it. Good one. Thank you.
It does come from the ocean too. So you could theorize they're out on the ocean.
Iodine minerals, natural brine deposit left by the evaporation of ancient seas and briny waters from oils and salt wells.
It is harvested from underground brines. Weird. Okay.
The human villains, the first one where the story started going, we don't need it. They should have done more. Thank you. More with Samson. That was the biggest disappointment.
I feel like that,
I'm excited to see your video on it. Yeah,
because that's one of the things is like, why don't they just kill Samson? I assume because he's coming back in the sequel. But
that's the thing. Frankenstein monster.
Right. Yeah, that'd be cooler if like he made him all huge. I've been injecting it with steroids just to see what would happen.
Not even then. Like maybe he in a way is able to communicate with him over the years that they've kind of spent in similar land with the respect that they have. Like obviously Samson has evolved in some way, so maybe he has an intelligence where he's like, if you stay over there, we'll stay. That's what it came off to me as, but I don't think I think there was more they could have played around in that storyline, but it just fell flat.
Like
in
I
my
said, I was
opinion.
definitely predicting like a big turn of this character. Like he's going to reveal
Yeah.
himself to be not all it's cracked up to be. Thought it was interesting that he lives like out in the open. Like I thought he would have like a cabin or a shelter or something that he lives in.
Surrounded by bones.
He
and-
seems to just live out in this field with no shelter of any kind, as far as I could tell. He's got
The only
this
thing
little
is that
crawl
bridge.
space. Yeah,
the bridge
yeah,
over the river, because he said that this kind of stops, or at least kind
prevents
of
some of them from
prevents them.
crossing, except unless it's an alpha for some reason when it's convenient.
Well, I think the alpha was crossing because again of the child. I think there's some context missing there where I think the child is the alphas and that's what he's going after.
There was a scene
but
where we see all the infected like bathing in a river, and we see the pregnant lady who like kind of
she's
wanders off.
wobbling.
We needed a scene where like the alpha's there too, and like kind of interacting with this pregnant lady, and makes it kind of clear that he's like involved with this woman somehow. But then you got like this I Am Legend thing where like the infected aren't as far gone as we assume they are, kind of thing, which is stupid because yes, they are. They're infected. They're infected with rage virus, which is like no, they're not. They should be put down, even if they could talk and they were intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
This is also 28 years later, so this virus can evolve at some point,
Yeah.
or for a long as you're infected with it. But so the Doctor Strange line saying the water bridge friends. What did he mean by that? It didn't make any sense. Yeah.
I guess it's like they have no problem crossing it because there's like some rope that they can hold on to, but other zombies
Maybe the
would have a
current's too
problem?
fast
I
for them.
guess.
I guess.
What if there's a drought? It happens. But I mean, it's England, so it's rare. But I mean, yeah, infected. Like the infected zombies, it's just really like I said, they're less visceral. That's one of the things that made the first one so scary. Is like there's just blood everywhere, and the idea that the virus is so contagious and so dangerous. Like the infected just existing is an existential threat to mankind. Like they have to be exterminated. There can't be any rhyme or reason to it. They literally should be put down. There's no.
Honestly, they should have nuked the whole entire island.
And like I said, drones. Just have fucking like how are we waging war right now in Russia and Ukraine? It's all fought with drones. Like you would literally just have a few ships off the coast, send in a bunch of drones, and they just like suicide bomb or drop little torpedoes on various infected.
Oh man.
And then you
I
just
never
kind of
thought about that.
slowly
My God, he's
clean
right.
up the island. Yeah, slowly clean it up.
The zombies in Snyder's Army of Dead also had alphas and pregnancy aspect. Why would Garland
Oh, I
copy
didn't know that.
Snyder?
Snyder's a
I didn't
genius.
watch that one. I didn't watch that.
Oh yeah.
Ew. That makes it way worse.
Oh yeah, Army of Dead. That's the one in Vegas. I actually like that one.
makes it way worse that they did
I
it
actually
first.
like it.
Oh
They
God.
actually have a virtual
No, she can just
thing
say
you
that.
can go to for the Army of Dead here, where you put on VRs and you're in a truck kind of and you're
Yeah,
stuff
we,
like that.
we all love
so.
zombie tigers.
I thought we were treading new
Fuck yeah.
ground here.
Zombie tigers are cool. I don't care. I like that movie. Y'all.
Yeah. Well, like the rage virus is only contagious to primates, which
Okay.
and there was something with the crows. Like the alphas have all these crows around them.
That I thought was weird too. Maybe it's
I
like
thought
a
it-
supernatural element to them. I don't know why.
It could have been cool if, like, the virus is mutated and now it's spread to birds. Like that would be a big problem because the birds
Yeah.
can fly. So
I mean,
that's a huge issue. Like,
But if they're even bathing in the river and animals are drinking that water, so animals are immune to it, it's not in their. Okay, it's just.
yeah.
Anyway, so when they meet up with the doctor in the evening, they find out that his mother has cancer. It's confirmed she has cancer and that she basically has maybe days.
well, he just says he's like
hours at
he
this
does, he
point?
does say that I don't have medical equipment to 100%. Say
90% sure.
Yeah, I'm
90% sure,
guesstimating.
and
Yeah.
she will
But-
die soon.
She
You
also
don't know
confirms
when.
it herself too. And I'm
Yeah.
like, bitch, you couldn't say this before you left
He
the
didn't ask.
safety.
He
True.
didn't ask.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, God.
one of those things where it's like,
You
why
risked
are
your
we
child's life. You risked your child's life for him to get confirmation. And I think she says something like, you couldn't hear it from me. You needed to hear it from someone else.
going? Yeah.
What?
It's two situations, two major points, at least, where like just some basic
Shitty parenting.
communication.
That's what it is.
Basic communication would have prevented the movie from happening because like you have ask your dad what's the deal with this woman and why are you cheating on mom? And he could have explained, like, dude, your mom's not doing good. She's not putting out. She's dying. I have needs. So there's conversation one. Conversation two is like, why I'm smuggling you, mother, to the mainland. Like, she's terrified when she figures out we're in the mainland. She's like, why are we doing here? We should go back. He's like, I'm going to take you to a doctor and find out what's wrong with you. He'd be like, son, I'm probably really sick. There's something bad with me. Like, I might have cancer, you know? Like, I even know this, you know? She never brings it up.
And also, I like the one-off Mama Bear scene earlier where she smashes a slow-lo with her own bare hands by putting a bag over its head, and then the next morning doesn't remember, or actually does, but doesn't say anything to her son.
Yeah.
But she's dying of cancer.
Yeah, it's not good, basically. The prognosis is not good.
It's not.
But it's really bad when she turns around and is like, I could have told you that. You know, it's like,
yeah.
It's like,
I literally said I was like, what?
I thought it might have been cancer. I thought it might have been cancer now that you mentioned it.
But you needed to hear it from somebody else.
Like what Jason, Ray Fiennes could have cured her with all his iodine.
Also, another thing I thought would have happened was like, hey, doctor, we have an island full of people that could really use you, and we have clean water and shit. You want to come with me home?
He's like, no.
And we'll live on an island. We need a doctor. You know, we need one.
It's better out
Even
here.
when he goes, hey, you and the baby need to go home. It's time for you to go home. You're
time for me to do more experiments with unconscious
Why don't you
Samson.
take this kid home? Why don't you escort this kid home? Yeah. You're the adult in this situation.
Yeah, you killed his
And again,
mom.
I think it kind of circles back to the beginning with the montage of young men in army and stuff, and saying that once he does his first kill, in a sense, he's a man. It's his rite of passage. He's no longer considered a boy. He's out in this world. He's considered a man. Okay.
Yeah, it's rough.
This
movie had a lot less of that awesome hopefulness that the first one has, you know, and in spite of really awful, terrible situation and really slim odds, there's still this like hope, this like light at the end of the tunnel of the first movie, and they get rescued. There is a happy ending. This one, a lot less of that. It's more about accepting your mortality, accepting death is coming for all of us, and the world sucks.
It's good to tell a 12-year-old, just remember one thing: your mom's gonna die.
Yeah, like the message of the first movie is literally said out loud when they say it's not all fucked. And in this one, it is all fucked. Everything's fucked because even the outside world is full of morons, you know.
I lost connection there for a second.
I was saying even the outside world is filled with morons like Eric, you know, the soldier guy. It's like, you know, even if you did get rescued, the shell shock from like, you know, being sent to the 21st century from living on the island for 28 years, you know, I think it'd be difficult to assimilate. It'd take a while.
It's interesting to me because when you brought up the idea of the fact that, you know, everybody dies, your mom's going to die. I mean, it reminds me of my parents always installed into my sisters and I that they would never always be around forever. And that's why at the time, the three of us should always be looking out for each other. Cause at one point we're not going to be around. It's just going to be you and your sisters. And I get it. It's the reality of living, right? Everybody dies at some point. We just don't know when, and we just don't know where. And it is a sad ending for his mother, because it comes to Dr. Kelson basically mercy killing her.
And it was a moving scene too. It's like, you know, not all death, you know, every death is different, and some are better than others. And going peacefully, with love is always the best way to go. And he's like, memento mori means, you know, remember death. And then memento amoris means remember love. That's great. That was all great. But yeah, the problem is, you know, how is this different from reality, says Hook? I mean, I think one of the things that they say, the slogan of the town was fail we might, but go we must. And I think that was like something that could have been hammered a little more in the movie. This kind of, like I said, like, yeah, we all die and sometimes shit's fucked, but like the first movie says, it's not all fucked, and there's still reason to live. There's still a point to go on, you know?
Yeah.
And this would have been a good ending. The ending of the fact that after this, Samson attacks them, which I think also indicates, again, the baby's his. They escape, Spike and the baby head home. He leaves the baby at the gate with a note to his father. And I understood it as the kid has a lot of grief. He just wants to walk it off. Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
He wants to go try to survive on his own and walk it off because of the
Also
grief
stupid.
of losing his mother.
Also,
Stupid. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's also at the same time, even though he's considered a man at this point, boy
Yeah.
still.
Like
Who just
if I
lost his
say-
mother.
If I'm telling the town, I'm like, hey, I'm going to go live in the mainland. You're basically saying, like, I want to die. I'm going to go on a suicide mission until I am inevitably killed by one of those infected or starve to death or whatever. Or get hurt just falling, fucking tripping and falling down a mountain or whatever, you know, shit.
And that would have been the perfect ending for this movie.
Yeah.
But,
especially if the doctor,
no!
Especially if the doctor came back with them and him and the baby.
But wait,
and
there's
the
more.
doctor show up, you know,
But
that would have been a
wait,
great. And then
there's
Dad's there.
more.
There's the big
There's
reuniting. Yeah, the big reuniting scene.
I'm also depressed knowing the fact that even zombies are having more sex than I am. Christ, man.
I couldn't get a picture of the gang. I looked for it. I couldn't find it. It's probably because the movie just came out and stuff. But
They'll be out
how the
tomorrow.
movie ends is Spike is on his own. He gets confronted with a bunch of infected. He gets cornered by them. And then Jimmy, from the beginning, who's now an adult male, dressed in a velvet tracksuit, blonde hair, crown, bunch of gold around his rings, gold with the cross upside down, shows up above him with his gang of these dudes, all
He's
in different
played-
color tracksuits.
He's played by that vampire guy from Sinners too, right?
I came to a person where it's like, I swear in the background, I kept hearing, go, Power Rangers. And like,
He's
Let
got
me
really
see.
bad teeth, which is like the ultimate sign that he's evil or whatever.
Yes.
Uh,
Actually, to me, it came across as what's his fucking
Jimmy
face?
Seville is what you said, yeah.
Yes, Jimmy Seville. That's who
He-
I thought of when I first saw.
Yeah,
Played by some dude. From
and his
House
name
of
is
Dragon.
Jimmy. So
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like you might be onto something there.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a nod to because Jimmy's what's his last name? Sorry.
Seville.
mhm.
We don't speak his name. He's basically the real life Voldemort.
Why'd you say-
of the
why'd you say
humans.
that name?
Yeah, he's one of UK's worst villains. So yes, it's the fucking retardest ending. It took me out of the movie. It is the reason why
telling
I
you,
give this movie a 6 out of 10.
The
I was
Teletubbies,
I was
man.
wa-
They're
I was
like
waiting to hear
showing up.
someone
You know, they're all
I was
color
wait-
coded like the Teletubbies.
I just-
and
I
they're
wanted
doing
somebody-
backflips. And
I want someone to say it's morphin time.
I thought by bad. It is still not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. It's not a bad movie. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. But holy shit, that ending. So, okay, and I cannot paint this picture clear enough. They all he's infected with like what they have like golf clubs and like sticks and
They
they're
got
like
bags,
beating these
you know.
infected in bags and
They
they're
have
just
back
having a
scratchers, like-
merry old time putting all these fucking infecteds and they're like killing them. And I'm just watching it and granted, this is the only picture I could find because it's a behind the scenes photo. They're literally all like this, blonde wit, tracksuits. Clean,
Yeah.
by the way, very clean tracksuits too.
yeah. So, you know,
And-
they're living somewhere that's like got some order to it. They're living somewhere that has you know, the ability to wash clothes, or they have like access to like the mainstead and they're getting access to supplies, you know. But yeah, clearly they're evil, clearly they're bad guys, and you know, we have so many questions, and then the movie just kind of hard ends.
Mhm.
And
it's gone.
I think it was a
So-
commentary on modern films, like how they suck nowadays. I don't know what they were trying to do there. There's
I
some
honestly
kind of
think it's a reference to Jimmy. I really do because Jimmy's one of UK's like he is Voldemort. He's a notorious pedophiler, I guess, or something in the sense of I don't know how to say it's acceptable for YouTube, but
He likes kids.
like years and years of abuse and he got away with it because he's basically like who should be on Epstein's list. Like this is the dude, like this is evil incarnated. And I was like, that's the first thing I thought when I saw the gang of this guy. And then I went looking and I was like, I knew it. Somebody else must have had the same opinion because they all look like him.
yeah.
They
yeah,
all look like him with the blonde wig, the same kind of haircut and stuff.
yeah.
It is just, it's rough. It takes
And-
you completely out of the movie.
Yeah, like I said, like if the movie's going to be this wacky, like it should have been consistently wacky the whole time. There's like a hard
Yeah.
pivot where now I feel like, yeah, that's kind of what, you know, like there's a new generation of filmmakers now. There's a new style of movies now. Movies are stupid nowadays. So like I don't know, the movie just pivots into this like borderline retardation. I don't know. It was weird. And yes, it is Jack O'Connell from Sinners playing this guy. Or Jack O'Russell or whatever his name is.
Oh, Sir Jimmy Crystal. Sorry. Yeah.
Jack O'Connell. Yeah, that was him. Yeah, it was baffling. And again, like the other problem I had with the ending is like we don't really see. Yeah, I know. Goodwin's not trying to be funny.
No, Goodwin's true. Like this is true. He volunteered to work at hospitals. He was able to get away with a lot of doing this to children, dying kids. He was able to like be isolated. He knew people and people still don't acknowledge the crimes that this guy did. He got away with it. Like he's not Goodwin's not kidding on that part. It's true. Like I've read books on this guy. I've listened to podcasts on this guy. Vex is a little bit more in tune with the information on this guy. But yeah, they all look like mini versions of this dude.
Yeah, I mean, and also the other thing that was a big missed opportunity, like I said, they did the bait and switch just like Godzilla, where we bait and switch Bryan Cranston with Aaron Taylor Johnson. And we're like, suddenly, we realize Bryan Cranston isn't in this movie. We've been lied to. It's the same thing with this guy. Aaron Taylor Johnson is in the movie for a little bit, and then he's switched out with the kid Spike, and we never see the dad again. We don't see a scene of him, like, realizing that his kid has stolen his mom, his wife. We do.
Well, we don't see that.
Yeah, we see it at the end where he's just kind of sitting, waiting, or just assuming they're both dead. I don't know. And then we don't really see much after that, except he goes out to the water and screams.
Like,
He's they're kind of painting him like, like he is kind of a bad dad in that light, or they're trying to, and I don't really think he was. I don't know. That's what I felt like they were going for anyway.
I have to bring it back to this stupid fucking ending. Yeah, they're all creeps. Thank you, Niet. They're all. And that's exactly what I saw when these guys, so that's what they came off as too. These like instantly, even though this takes you out of the movie, because I don't feel it fits at all. It doesn't even fit the franchise. I don't see this fitting in day. This is fucking weird. So I get it. It's a nod to him, but it doesn't work within this movie. First of all, how are all these guys surviving 28 years later on the mainland, where most of the infected are? And they're all clean looking too. They're not all like carrying like supplies and stuff.
Well, this is kind of what I thought of when I think of like The Last of Us, and then also Spike's character and a lot of the kids living on this island. I'd imagine if you grew up post-apocalypse, you would be insane. You'd be a psychopath. Like I think I like the idea that like, yeah, these kids have grown up in this world and they're hard. They're scary. They're insane. They're unhinged. It's all a big joke to them, their whole existence is like a game of cat and mouse, So it would change you to a level of degree that like, I don't think we as Western 21st century people would not be able to understand how crazy they would be, how hard they would be. So the idea that, yeah, they're like sawing infected heads off with razor wire and laughing about it. I liked all that. But it was just filmed in such a bizarre way, and they're doing like backflips, like they look like they're on pogo sticks or something. Yeah, it's like they have like little trampolines, that they're jumping off of or something. Like I don't know how they're doing.
They're all like gymnasts, really fit, apparently able to do backflips and forward flips, and like they're all ninjas. They're able to. It doesn't fit.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I didn't think Aaron Taylor Johnson was a bad dad, but I felt like the movie was trying to paint him as one. And I was like, no, I mean, yeah, he's cheating on his mom. That's not cool. Cheating on his wife.
I think the movie was painting him as a bad dad from the perspective of Spike.
Yeah.
Where as adults, we understand that somebody in that situation is trying to do the best he can for his dying wife, for his kid that he, again, has to establish how to survive without him. Like he has to make sure Spike can take care of himself. So I think it's a bad dad from Spike's perspective, where as adults we can kind of read through the lines and see like he's not really a bad dad. Like he slaps I think, he instantly regrets slapping Spike after that moment. So you could see it in his face.
I
Yeah.
gave him a verbal warning first, though.
Look,
So
Yeah, he gave him a verbal. I mean,
all
my dad
kids-
never gave me verbal.
All kids need to get slapped. Come on.
I mean, I think it all goes back to the main, like one of the big main whataboutisms is, this movie would have been so different if you just communicate to your kids. I think is like one of the main messages this movie's trying to tell us. Like, don't try to sugarcoat things and don't try to shield your children from too much because it'll backfire. I feel like that's one of the messages maybe they're trying to say here, which I could agree with.
The little Jimmy, I don't know what gang.
Yeah,
that's what iPad kids are going to be.
The posse.
The Jimmy
up.
Tubbies.
That's iPad kids. 100%. That's iPad kids right there.
Yeah,
I'm not even kidding. Like, I don't get it, and I get it. Parenting is hard. I'm not a parent, but you're frying your kids' brains.
It's the skibbity toilet generation.
Yeah, and it's gonna backfire 30 years from now when all these kids are older like this. So to me, they represent like the iPad kids generation. Right. Yeah, where they all think like movies are the real world. Whatever they see on screen is exactly how things are. So they're able to do these like parkour. They're having fun. They're laughing about killing all these infected and stuff. It's a video game to them, and it's not a video game, but it's kind of the same concept.
And Danny Boyle does get very self-indulgent in his movies, but a lot of times I love it. Like, I mean, there's the scene. I do love the beach a lot. I know it gets a lot of hate, but I love the beach. And I know a lot of people hate the video game sequence where Leonardo DiCaprio's like running around in a video game. There's also like the self-indulgent stuff with Danny Boyle doing, Sunshine gets very experimental, and 127 Hours is very, but that's a great movie. 127 Hours was one of those movies where how are you going to make a movie about a guy? Yeah, they do a great job of like taking you out.
He's cutting into an end zone. You could feel that shit.
But they also do a great job of like taking the story outside of the little crevice he's cut in. He's stuck in. So I mean that was good. This movie, like I said, I feel like it was too experimental at times, and it didn't really land as much as I want. Because like I said, 28 Days Later is just the right level of experimental. They're experimenting with low res digital cameras. They're experimenting with the soundtrack and fast zombies. They're trying new things, but they didn't try. It wasn't too crazy. They didn't get too crazy. I think they went a little too crazy on this one.
You're right.
So I think we've talked this movie out.
Yep.
I mean, at least through the whole plot. Yeah.
Well,
and like I said, big problem is when a movie ends and it's just like, you won't know if you liked it until you see the next one. Like the next one could make or break this movie.
Plus,
and
I don't like that. As we kept talking spoilers and getting more into the plot with I'd have Nia and Goodwin there. I'm like, man, my 6 might turn to a 5 now. Jesus.
Shit.
So especially with it's a Jimmy's that entire sequence. I'm like, I'm watching it. I'm like, I told my kid, I'm like, are we watching Power Rangers? What is the point of the sequence?
Yeah, and they build up this Jimmy character. It would have obviously Jimmy shows up at the at the end of the second act. That's how actual movies work. You don't just have Jimmy show up at the very end, like, hey, remember me? We're like, no, we don't.
Like, they're doing fucking parkour and triple flips.
My understanding is 2 is not a continuance of 1. 3 is a continuance of 1. 2, it's its own story. I might be wrong on that one.
No, that's how I took it. So
that's how I understand this whole thing, because I think Boyle's directing the third one, but Nina DaCosta's directing the second one, and it's its own story. It's a story taking place in this universe. Somebody can correct me, but from my understanding is we won't get a conclusion of this story, or at least the Jimmy thing, until 3, maybe potentially, if that's the case. But I could be wrong on that. But it's the same thing with like Last of Us. Season 2 ends, and you're not going to get a conclusion to season 2. You end on cliffhanger until season 4, because season 3 is its own thing from a different character's point of view. So you're going to be waiting 3 years, 4 years for a conclusion on it. And
supposedly 28 years later, part 2 is coming out in February. That's what I heard.
Well, which is the second one is coming out 2026. Yes.
Yeah.
But I also read that the way that they're going to be able to make 3 is on the success of 1.
Yes. In other words, if this bombs, then we're fucked.
Oh my God. So like 3 is the one that we actually do want, because we need there's so many questions left
because
open for this one.
because they've already filmed part 2, but part 3 hasn't started production yet because they're trying to see the box office on these 2 films. That's what I read.
God,
So.
it's so stupid. At the end of the first movie, like I keep bringing up how amazing the ending is. Like, you know, the ending of the first movie, the credits roll, and you just feel like, yes, like not only did you witness a full story, but it was a good story, and there's like a weight lifted off your shoulder when they get rescued. The music, it's filmed on like actual film instead of crappy digital camera, so it looks cooler, it looks nicer, it looks cleaner. And that music at the end that I think it was his name, John Murphy does. Like the score is just, it slaps so hard with that guitar and the strings, and you know, that plane flies over. I mean, it's amazing. It's just, it just wraps everything up in a nice bow, and you don't need a sequel, you know? And the idea of 28 weeks later is like, okay, it's back. All right, fine. And of course, there's a whole lot of leaps of logic with character choices in that one.
Too modernized to me, the sequel.
There's
I
a
like
lot
the
of
first
stupid choices people make.
I think because they had a bigger budget and they're like, let's expand on this. To me, it would make more sense to maybe take a sequel as a chance to write a story in the universe from a different character's perspective. It's not continue the story of like the quarantine and stuff, but basically go back and when Jim escapes the hospital, maybe from a different point of view, from a different character who wakes up, or not wakes up, but in a sense struggles with those first couple of weeks, or maybe from the day one of the infected, like what happens
28 minutes later
or something,
28
or
hours
good one's
later.
right, maybe it didn't need a sequel at all. But I just again, I think this movie is okay, it's good, but it's not great. And I think the marketing and everybody hyping it up, and even I'm seeing early reviews of it earlier today of like, oh, it's like it's gory, it's fun, it's moving, and there are moving moments to this movie. There are good moments in this, and I felt it when he had to say goodbye to his mother and that whole ordeal. But there's a lot of mess here. Mediocre mess, and I'm not I don't know if I would recommend this.
See, it would be better if like they had answers and the answers weren't that great. But I hate how it's like, you'll find out in the next movie. It's like, I don't like this shit. This long form storytelling that's taking over everything. Like even the movies. The whole point why I want to go to a movie is I want my story in like 2 hours, beginning, middle, and end. Quit taking a 3-act structure and turning it into 3 movies. It doesn't work that way. It worked for Star Wars, but only because it was really cool to look at, you know?
If you're going to do something like that, you might as well make it a TV series at that point.
Yeah, but I hate TV series too, so I mean, they all suck.
I know, but I'm saying like if you're going to make people wait for it, but again, I don't think we're going to get a conclusion of who Jimmy is unless Bone Temple is the story of Jimmy. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. And then 3 is a different movie entirely. But Enzo, final thoughts on this movie?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a movie you should skip. I think you should still watch it, make up your own mind. There's still a lot of interesting stuff it does. I just don't think it lands. I think there's some really interesting cinematography that does get a little overplayed. There is that, like, I did feel like there was a lot of unnecessary computer stuff in this movie, computer animated stuff, backgrounds and, stuff like that I thought just looked a little hokey. And then there's other shots that look amazing. Like the Bone Temple set is badass. It looks incredible because it's real.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I agree. Like this is the first 28 Days movie where we see some. We see the 28 Days movies have 28 Days and 28 Weeks have the eye gouging scenes, which are very violent.
Yeah.
This movie has like the head ripping scenes with like the Sub-Zero like spine coming out.
Yes.
Predator.
That's what my husband said when he saw the poster. He's like, "Oh, I know where they got this from."
It's pretty cool, but it's just. I don't know what they're trying to say thematically, metaphorically. Like I said, they're trying to tackle about modern society. They're trying to tackle ideas about a post-COVID world. But it's all just like hinted at with the promise that we'll discuss it in the later movies. And I think that's just cheap. I'd rather have everything explained and explained poorly as opposed to just everything left up in the air for a big cliffhanger. It's cheap. It's lazy. But that being said, like I still... enjoyed parts of it. It didn't, it wasn't like an affront to all that was holy. It wasn't like angering me as much as it was like puzzling me.
Yeah.
and leaving me scratching my head. I think the biggest complaint is like the ideas I came up with on my own watching the trailer were better than what I saw, which is not a good thing because I'm by no means a professional writer. But when I'm just watching the trailer thinking, oh, maybe this will happen and this happens, and then what actually happens is very different and just doesn't, like I said, there's a lot of parts that were just kind of boring. It just takes too much of a lull at points. And yeah, every story needs a conclusion. Exactly. Like cliffhangers.
Yeah.
They're cheap. They're annoying. Like the way you do a cliffhanger is you finish your story with the doctor and the boy and the baby coming home and everything wrapping up at the end with a nice bow, and then cut to somewhere and we see like the bad guy's not dead. The zombies are still around. I don't know. You hint at something later to come, but like I don't know, the whole Jimmy thing.
That's why I watched credits for it. I was expecting a post-credit scene.
I did too.
God,
nothing.
That's another problem with the Marvel movies.
Well, no, but also ends up because the way this was panned out after Jimmy's scene, I'm like, are they going to show a post-credit scene? Am I setting up?
No,
there was, but I was expecting it based on how this ended. So,
God, yeah, it was great marketing though. It really got me hyped. And I think that's the thing is like I think I need to have lower expectations when I go see movies and then get pleasantly surprised as opposed to expecting a banger. Yeah,
I've been saying it for months. I've been saying for months that I've been on fence with this movie because I'm like, it's a little too late, and I don't know what else they can do with this. And it's just, I am not a huge fan of Alex Garland's writing lately. So Blue, what are your final thoughts?
Boy, as I told you guys, boy, being 6 out of 10 at first, but as we're talking about the spoilers and the stupid, it might be a 5, but like I said, after how bad Weeks was, I had such a low expectation that this is definitely better than Weeks, but that's that's not saying a lot. It's not as good. It's not as good as 28 Days. And I said it's not. There is Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ray Fiennes, the kid who played Spike. Good acting, and there is some good cinematography in certain shots. It's not a terrible film, but it's not a great film neither. It was watchable, but I would go back and watch 28 Days Later before watching this again. I didn't hate it, but I never near loved it neither.
I could never get tired of watching 28 Days Later. It is a legit fantastic movie.
It really is. It is a lesser sequel, and I think now going forward for whatever at this point is, it's going to be whatever 20 years Volume 2 is going to be called. I have no expectations. I'm just going to walk in and fucking watch it. But even as Jeremy Johns said, this film definitely was better if you bring some fucking vodka or something.
And also it is only a $75 million budget, which is good because movies don't need to be so expensive these days. But yeah.
By the way, I remember the other trailer that I forgot that I saw, and it was Predator's Badlands. That's probably why I forgot about it. Okay. To me, this is a $5 Tuesday. You got nothing going on. Go see it in theaters or wait for it to hit. And I hate to say this because I am a I like going to the movies. I believe in supporting theaters. But to me, I don't think this is an opening weekend movie. I think you can wait for the deals at your local theaters to go see it if you want to see it in theaters. Or honestly, you could probably wait to stream it if you wanted to. It's a 6 out of 10 in my opinion. It's not a bad movie, but it's doesn't hit the hype that the marketing pushed through, and I knew it going in. There's a lot of unanswered things left, and it's beautifully shot. It's a beautiful movie. Don't get me wrong. I think it's beautifully shot. I'm with you, Enzo. I'm a little annoyed with the whole 360 when they have to freeze for a second when a arrow goes through somebody's head and blood sweat, and you're and then it continues. The first time it was cool. Second time, okay. And then it continued with it. Yeah. I thought strong acting. It's just the storyline is very generic. I don't feel like there was much new added to it. And then the Jimmy thing totally took me out of the movie at the end. I was like, what? My whole theater laughed. They're like, what the fuck is going on? We're all like, I need drugs for this. Like what's going on? What am I seeing?
There's one thing that helped out a lot for this film.
Well, the trailer made me think Jimmy was going to be a big deal, especially when we see the shot of the lady in the mask. I thought that was going to be there's a cult or something, evil bad guys,
or even with the priest in the trailer being attacked. I thought we're going to get maybe some theology, religious religious like storyline of man and God and their relationship with God and faith and stuff like that in a world of infected. And instead we get the story of what happens with life. We eventually die and the grief of it. And I get it, but I feel like there was nothing added new to it on it.
Another big problem with this movie, even compared to Weeks, is the thing that's great about 28 Days Later. I hate jump scares because they're cheap. So The Conjuring, it's like boo, and then it's like oh it's nothing, or boo, or and then the scene ends. I hate that. With 28 Days Later, there are some legit jump scares that work because jump scares need to kick off an action sequence, a horror sequence of some kind. Like you're scared, and now it's time to run. This movie doesn't have any great like jump scares. I wouldn't even say it's necessary to watch it in the theater because of that. Because like
it's
some
not
of these...
gory either too. Well, it's gory, but it's not to the extent that it could be gore. Like they really could have played with the infected and made this almost grotesque and scary, but I didn't find it scary at all.
Yeah, it wasn't scary. The first one, like you're legit like worried the infected are coming, you know? And this one they don't seem to be a big deal.
That's a good point. By the time we get to Act 2, where Spike is on his own, Niat brought a good point. He's fucking Hawkeye. He's able to like shoot these arrows with ease and such. There's no actual threat happening to our humans. It feels like they're just on a journey and plot armor left and right and are able to get to the end, have the conclusion of the mother dying, that storyline, and then come back. Like he's able to make it back with a baby crying.
Yeah.
I
imagine there should have been some scenes of him like putting the baby down to like pull out the arrow, you know, pull out the bow and arrow. But no, and that's the other thing is like even because you're talking about the rage virus, you know, it fills you with adrenaline and you're running at full sprint trying to kill anything that you see, and yet you know one arrow in your chest or your head and you're dead instantly. Like that's the thing is like even if you were Hawkeye, like I'd imagine like you know just normal rage infected virus people, you put a few arrows in, they're still coming, you know. You need you need a gun. Yeah,
Samson didn't even chase this kid down. If he has his baby after he woke up.
Yeah, because that's the thing about George Romero's Land of the Dead. They have a moat around their city, but they're zombies, so they just kind of walk at the bottom of the water, and they show up to the town and the apartment or whatever, the buildings. And that was cool. This one they can't do that, you know. So I assume there will be. Like I'm assuming like where it would go from here is like there's an assault on the town at one point where I don't know the Samson or some other alpha leads a bunch of infected across that moat. They don't have enough arrows, you know. But still, you got a big gate. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't really fulfill a whole lot.
There's a lot of things to tear down, but again, I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a mid movie. There's some really great moments in it, but it's not an opening weekend movie, in my opinion. You don't have to rush to go see this in the theaters. Again, go for your local theaters deals. I think AMC does like $5 movie Tuesdays. Yeah, so Regal does it too.
Yeah, I mean, $5 Tuesday is good. I wouldn't. I use my app. I wouldn't pay full price for this.
Yeah, I wouldn't even pay to go see this in IMAX or Dolby, to be honest. And again, I don't think so either. I saw it in standard. It's beautifully shot. However, there are moments where it's too high contrast to me in certain ways. Like they dialed up the contrast a little too much. Yeah. Like Aaron Taylor came up like orange in some when they were like contrasting the green around him a little too much.
The bridge scene where they're getting chased by the berserker was like the background was like I was like, are they still dreaming with like the northern lights and the stars and stuff? I was like, this looks insane, like computer animated. I thought like it was all a big nightmare sequence, you know. Like I thought the kid was gonna wake up and they're still at the house, you know. But no, that all really happened and it looked really weird. I don't know. Like I said, I like when movies try new things and show me stuff I haven't seen before. But this, like I said, I think they tried a little bit too much new stuff at once, you know. Both with the way they shot it and filmed it and made it, and also with what they did story wise. It's kind of like it reminds me of the movie Looper. Like you have time travel, travel, right? And that's like, okay, there's your element that takes the you need to believe that it's working. But then you throw in another element like telekinesis and that starts getting silly. So like the idea is like, okay, you got zombies and infected, but now you've got like giant alphas and fatties and breeding and doctors. And once you start adding too much in there, it starts getting silly. And then, yeah, Jimmy Seville showing up at the end with his gang of Teletubby martial artists. It just really, it just sends everybody in a whole, like, what? That's not how you end the movie. Maybe that's how you start the next one, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, or you somehow fit it in somewhere. Like if Jimmy was going to be a main focus, maybe this should have been a Jimmy star. I don't know. Enzo, what do you got going on next?
I don't know. I might stream tonight at midnight if no one else is. But other than that, I think I'm gonna be on Zax's channel Saturday for Circle of Jerks, maybe.
Nice.
I think so. And then yeah, Sunday will be Dorkside. And that'll be fun, as always, after Gooch and Gang, midnight. We'll be watching some weird crap again. I think I'm going to start watching episodes of Baywatch Nights at the end of, instead of playing Quiplash, you know, because we've been doing that for a while, and watching other weird stuff. We just finished the Supergirl stuff, so I think we're going to start watching Baywatch Nights, where David Hasselhoff, Mitch Buchanan starts, like, going after sea monsters and werewolves and stuff, apparently. It's like the X-Files, but with Baywatch, so I'm excited for that. And then this Wednesday, actually, the movie that we were riffing, me and Dudicus and Sammy 3P watched Baywatch Hawaiian Wedding, which was the reunion movie, and it's terrible. But I had such a fun time watching that movie. I had an amazing time watching that movie. I would recommend watching Baywatch Hawaiian Wedding over 28 years later right now. Maybe wait a few weeks. So I recommend watching that instead on my channel Wednesday at 2:30 Central Standard Time.
Blue, what do you have next?
Yeah, tomorrow, because Enzo had this fucking maniac idea. So we're
yeah, the Friday. There is something we're doing Friday.
We're watching Jaws 4 tomorrow because why not? Because instead of watch something good like Jaws on the 50th anniversary, let's watch the worst fucking film in the franchise. Where
everyone's talking about Jaws, you know?
Yeah, so where Jaws has a Godzilla roar because sharks can roar all of a sudden. Like, God, that's gonna be funny. Yeah, and then I'm doing some Stranger Things stream with some idiot tomorrow night. So, yeah.
Ouch.
Fuck you. As for myself in this channel, tomorrow, Stranger Things, Season 3, Episode 6. Blue will be on the panel. We got regulars, Toxic. Everybody will be there. Next week is the 24th. Yeah. Final Girls. It's my once-a-month show with a bunch of other horror content creators that are women. We talk about what we enjoyed in June, what we would recommend, and what we're looking forward to in July. Next Thursday, I'm going to do the same thing as this stream, and we're going to be talking about Megan 2.0. So if you guys see it by 8 p.m. Eastern next Thursday, you're more than welcome to join.
I do need less water in my life.
And then Stranger Things Season 3, Episode 7. And then our members watch party is going to be Jaws. So the original, the good one. On the 28th, which I've seen before anybody fucking comes at me in the comments. I've seen it multiple times. It actually scared me as a kid.
Have you seen Jaws 3 where Dennis Quaid
I've never seen anything past Jaws.
The giant 30-foot shark in at SeaWorld.
I've only seen Jaws. That's the only one out of the whole franchise I've seen. And
I think Jaws 3 is better than Jaws 2. And Jaws 2 is better than Jaws 4.
But is anything better than Jaws?
No.
Of course not.
Oh, okay. Then I'm set. I'm good. I'm aware.
It's just like 28 Days Later. It doesn't need any sequels. The sequels are stupid, actually, in hindsight.
Jaws 4 is so awful.
Out of all of this Sunday, I might stream. I usually don't stream on the weekends because I try to keep it myself sane. But since we got a gaming PC, I might actually stream playing Alien Isolation or a game at some point. So this Sunday. Yeah, terrify myself. I've seen Niet streams on it. I'm
damn good.
I'm scared.
Jaws 4 is the one where the shark goes on a revenge mission. So I mean, I don't know, man.
It's called Jaws for the Revenge.
Yeah, Jaws 3 was in 3D.
I don't know if this is a franchise I want to explore further. I think I'm okay with just Jaws.
Don't do it sober, Nadia.
Jaws 3 has extended scenes of Leah Thompson in a bikini, so that's cool.
Yeah,
I mean that's cool and all, but again, I don't know if I want to waste my time watching. I feel I would waste my time watching the rest of them if I had a group to watch it with, and we were just like hanging out. But I'm not gonna put the time by myself.
It's called the revenge. Like the shark comes back for revenge. How many sharks do you know come back for?
You killed my father.
Is it as bad as Sharknado?
No. No, Sharknado, but Sharknado sucks because it's bad on purpose, and that's lame.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Sharknado, I watched it. I'm like, why do people like this movie? I can't even enjoy it on its own.
It's foot and mouth
Oh,
style. It's
it was
being
wrong.
cheeky, you know. I like it when the movie's trying to be good and it sucks. You know, that's
Yeah.
always fun.
That's how the Jaws sequels
You
are now.
tried and failed.
They're trying so hard to recapture the spirit of Jaws.
Sharknado, they tried to make a bad movie and they succeeded, and that's why it's cheating. Sharknado is probably more enjoyable than Jaws 3 and 4.
I don't know. I watched Sharknado while drinking with friends, and I was like, this is what everybody makes a big deal out of. I can't do this. I was just like, nope.
He chainsaws a flying great white in half, you know? Come on.
I felt dumber after watching Sharknado.
You are. That's why
like,
it's like...
I felt I lost brain cells I could never retrieve back. And before you say anything, Goodwin, all right, for fuck's sake, I know you're already keyboard. All right. Nadia didn't have any brain cells to lose anyway. Blah blah blah. All right, chat. You guys have been wonderful. Thank you guys so much. If you're watching this on the replay, again, there will be timestamps for spoiler-free, spoiler, movie etiquette as well. This explains so much. Please go subscribe to Enzo and Blue. Their links will be in the description as well. Leave me a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on 28 years later. If you've seen it, did you like it? And until next time, which is tomorrow for Stranger Things with some asshole, I will see you all next time. Stay spooky.